Morgan, the doctor's coming from.
All right, Shalom Israel. Welcome back to class. Sword of Truth, isbhpk San Antonio. We want to give a shout out first and foremost to our brothers out there teaching this truth in Virginia, Houston, New York, Cabo Cabo down in Guatemala, outside London, LA Judah, Atlanta, brothers in California, brothers in Canada too. Yeah, so shout out to them as well. So we enjoy what we do, and hopefully it shows. And our number one goal is to edify the body of Christ and His people, the so-called Negroes, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Mexicans, Dominicans, Haitians, Argentinians, Brazilians, North American, South American Indians of Negro and Indian descent. You are the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Our message is to you, first and foremost, because Christ said, in Matthew chapter 18, verse 24. Somebody get that real quick.
Matthew chapter 18, verse 24. And when?
No. 15 to 24. 18 to 11.
Matthew 15 and verse 24.
Mm-hmm.
What he said. But he answered and said, I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
They said, I'm not sent, but to who?
The lost sheep of the house of Israel.
And so that's where our message is going to. That's what we're aiming at. The lost sheep, trying to rebuild the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Israel is a nation of people that's scattered throughout multiple diasporas in time through their sin and punishment by the Most High for not keeping the commandments. So we want to go ahead and give a shout out to you. Shalom and good evening. Let's go ahead and get started. The topic of the class is, why do our people doubt modern medical establishments? All right. So go ahead and write that down. Why do our people doubt modern medical establishments? And I know some brothers have requested a class similar to this because of the lack of trust in the medical field. It's almost like, our people have this phobia, this fear, paranoia about going to the doctor, about seeing a doctor. And we're going to find out if that's a reason to be alarmed, if that's just a bogus superstition, or is there some basis and some truth behind our people stepping into a doctor's office and fearing the worst, or not feeling comfortable. So we're going to kind of explore some different things about medicines, about health, wellness, but also how the Most High views it, and first and foremost, how our people have experienced these things in the midst of captivity. So the first scripture we got on the screen is Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 19. Let's go ahead and get that. Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 19.
Deuteronomy chapter 20.
And shalom to everybody online. All brothers and sisters that watch us online, shalom to you as well. Let's read that.
20 and 19.
Mm-hmm.
Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 19. When thou shalt besiege a city a long time, and making war against it to take it, thou shalt not destroy the trees thereof.
So the Most High said, even if you're in war, if you're in battle, He said there's certain things that you don't want to damage, even in the midst of war. War is bloodshed, chaos, turbulence, tribulation, mayhem. War is what it is. It's a struggle of will. And but He said there's something that I want you to take notice of and to take precautionary measures on. Read on.
Thou shalt not destroy the trees thereof by forcing an axe against them.
Go ahead.
For thou mayest eat of them.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt not cut them down, for the tree of the field.
He said, because I don't want you, even in war, you need arrows, you need harpoons, you need weapons. Weapons come most of the time from trees. He said, but there's certain trees I don't want you to touch. He said certain trees that is for what?
For the tree of the field is man's life.
It says, I want you to save the trees that bear fruit. Because the trees that bear fruit, the fruit of the trees is what?
Sustenance.
A man's life.
A man's life. So you need the tree. Don't cut down everything you see, burn everything to the ground because you're in war and you're mad and angry. So you just go on a campaign of just burning trash and everything. It's funny how even the early settlers here in America, they were mad at some natives and they burned their villages down in the corn, but they also starved themselves in the process. So I just want to add that in there. How do you know this scripture Is there some truth to this? He said, because the tree of the man, the trees in the field is what?
Is man's life
Go ahead.
to employ them in the seed.
So it's to help you in the seeds, all right? So the tree of the field is what? Man's life. You need the trees of the field that bear fruit to sustain, to live. So don't cut everything down. So the Most High is showing us how He created the earth. We're dependent upon nature. We're dependent upon the trees of the field, the fruits that grow, that bear out of the ground. We're dependent on these things for what? For man's life, right? So let's go to the next verse. Genesis chapter 1, verse 29 and 30. And I'm going to be looking for this, verse real quick. This historical segment while we read that real fast.
You said 29?
Genesis chapter 1, verse 29 and 30.
Come. Alright, you ready?
Yes, sir. Everybody got it? All right, read that.
Come. Genesis chapter 1, verse 29 reads, And the Most High said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed.
So the Most High gave Israel every herb bearing seed. So there's a multiplicity. There's a bunch of different species of different herbs. They grow in different locations. Some grow in the desert. Some grow in the mountains. Some grow in the valleys. And based on different land masses, there's different herbs, but they have the same purpose. For men to have issues when it comes to having the proper hormonal balance, needing enough testosterone, there's herbs for a man's testosterone based off where you live.
Yep.
But the same purpose, you can go to Russia. There's an herb called tribulus. And that herb does the same job as ginseng that ginseng does in Korea, or ginseng does in China, or ginseng does in the Appalachian Mountains. They have American ginseng, they have Asian ginseng, they have the ginseng of India, they have the ginseng of Jamaica. They call it the ginseng because it has the same purpose. It's a different herb, but for all the needs of man, the Most High created a whole bunch of different variations based on the needs of the people in that landmass.
Because the herbs have different purposes. They have different chemicals. They release different chemicals in the body to administer healing to the body, whether it be anti-inflammatories, whether it be blood cleaners, whether it be kidney cleaners, circulatory cleansers, liver cleansers. There's herbs that fix every part of the body. The Most High attached man's body to the earth and made the man dependent upon these herbs. Read it one more time.
God. Genesis chapter 1, verse 29 reads, And the Most High said, And the power said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed.
One point. And so when we were in slavery, we didn't have access to a lot of things. So how did grandma and grandpa survive, bro? They go in the backyard. They had to go in the backyard and figure out what to do. If you deal with Jamaica, they got the Guinea weed, henna. I think it's Guinea weed. And it's just what they use for survival. It's a cure-all for everything. So the Most High made things that we could, even in a low condition, even if you're in slavery, if you have the knowledge, you can still survive.
And it was a certain amount of understanding that we brought to us in slavery. A lot of our techniques and our medicines was brought in the knowledge of them, of the plants. You find that whether it came from West Africa or South America or Jamaica, we had knowledge of the power of the plants, and that knowledge came with us. Now, although we didn't have access, nor the monetary means of insurance to get the best medicine, so to speak, but we had knowledge to survive off the ground. And that's when you have curanderos, you have medicine men, you have herbaleras, you have different venues where people will go to different men or men of skill, or healers, so to speak, and these healers would prescribe something of a natural origin that would give you what you need to sustain yourself. And that's how we had to survive, whether it be a hottie toddy or something that she just mixed up in the kitchen.
I remember everything was about He used some cod liver oil. That was everything.
Yeah, cod liver oil supposed to be to fix everything, man. Castor oil,
Yeah.
cod liver oil, and Vaseline.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fix
put-
everything in the world.
Put Vaseline on you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, vapor rub, but damn near everything. Put it on your feet. You know, people put onions.
Yeah.
They cut onions, red onions in half. Put it on your ear. Put it in your sock. Pull out infection. Lower fevers. I mean, there's all kind of home remedies. You know, whether it be menthols or mints. Whether you got a toothache, you don't have no money to go to the dentist.
Yeah.
You got to get that clove oil.
Yeah.
You got to drop that clove oil right on that nerve and numb that nerve down a little bit
Brother's
until
suffering out.
you get some money, till you get that money up. You go to that dentist, get that tooth fixed.
Ambisol. That's what worked for me.
Oh, Khan, shalom, Mariano, shalom, brother. And so, you know, a lot of these things we had to depend upon who though. But what was the origin of our nutrients and our substance?
The earth.
It came from the earth. Read it again.
God. Genesis chapter 1 verse 29 reads, and the powers said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed,
Go ahead.
which is upon the face of all the earth.
Now we can go into genetically modified ingredients. How, you know, a lot of the ingredients now don't even bear a seed. You know, you got watermelons that are seedless. You got grapes that are seedless. Why make seedless grapes?
That's crazy.
Why make seedless watermelons?
Bananas.
Well, the excuse was it wasn't an obstacle anymore. They took it out, so it's an inconvenience. But they're supposed to be in there. You got to be able to reproduce it. That's what you use to reproduce them.
Because within that one watermelon, you can make 50 more watermelons.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
In a year.
Control the market.
you can sustain yourself.
God.
Out of that one peach, you know what I'm saying, you can get 50 peaches. Out of that one pear seed, you get 50 pears. Out of them apple seeds, you get plenty more apple trees. Them lemon trees, you got lemon fruit, you got lemon trees. You don't need to go to the store. You can sustain yourself. So we know that the modern science has done this for the purpose of depending upon them to sustain yourself, which we're going to get into in just a minute. Read on.
God, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed.
Go ahead.
To you, it shall be for meat.
It says for you, it's supposed to be for what?
Meat.
So the herbs is for what?
Meat.
So eat your herbs. Don't smoke your herbs, man. And the Most High never made herbs for smoking.
Not for smoke, right?
Yeah, no smoke herbs. There ain't no such thing. Oregano, whatever you're doing, bro. Broccoli, whatever you want to call it. That is not your medicine, bro. That is your excuse
Yeah.
for medicine. That's what people use as an excuse. Herbs are made for meat. You're supposed to eat your herbs. They have specific purposes in the body.
Yes, sir.
Now, that's verse 30, right?
Verse 30.
All right. Now read Genesis chapter 9. Give me verse 3.
Genesis chapter 9 and verse 3.
So
Read.
we're seeing how the Most High has produced the things that we need to survive off the basis of what comes out of the ground. What comes out of the ground is what we're depending upon. All right. Genesis chapter 9 verse 3. Read that.
Genesis chapter 9 verse 3 reads, every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you.
Go ahead.
Even as the green herb have I given you
It
all
says
things.
even as the what?
Green herb.
Even as the what?
Green herb.
So a lot of people will take this verse and say, see, it says every moving thing that liveth. That means I can eat pork. That means I can eat swine. That means I can eat crab, because God said every living thing that moveth. Crabs move, lobsters move, shrimp move, pigs move. So they think that I'm supposed to be able to eat that, right? But when you're dealing with the Most High is making a distinction. He did make the meat. He did make the food. He did make the creatures for you to survive off of. But give me Genesis chapter 7 real quick so we can dispel that idea about the Most High making everything available to eat. Genesis chapter 7, start at verse 1.
God, Genesis chapter 7 verse 1 reads, and the Lord said unto Noah, come thou and all thy house into the ark.
Go ahead.
For thee have I seen righteous before me, in this generation.
Read.
Of every clean beast.
He says, of every what?
Clean beast.
So even when the Most High was telling Noah, I'm going to save you from destruction because of your righteous mentality, your righteous disposition, because you have a fear for me. He said, but this is how I'm going to tell you how to save the earth. This is what I want on the ark. There's a distinction between everything that the Most High made. He calls certain animals what? Clean. Meaning these animals are suitable for what purpose?
To eat.
They're suitable. These animals are clean. These animals are clean for subsistence, to eat, to digest. Read on.
Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens.
He said, I want 7 of the clean animals, the ones that you can eat, because you're gonna go along for a long ride. You're gonna be in this ark for a while. So I need to have 7 of the clean beasts. Read on.
The male and his female.
Read on.
And of beasts that are not clean.
So the Most High is making a distinction between all the animals. The Most High is telling Noah, listen, I don't want just any animal on. I want 7 pairs of the clean. Read on.
And of beasts that are not clean by 2.
What does he mean by not clean?
Stuff that we can't
Not
consume,
able to
can't
eat.
Yes, there's animals that you're not supposed to eat. The Most High, they still serve a purpose. I still want them to propagate and multiply. I just don't want you eating them. So the Most High is setting up a distinction between what he created on earth as far as what's clean and what's not clean, what's dietarily legal or lawful and purposeful and what's not. The Most High is putting a separation and a distinction between, just because God made every animal doesn't mean that every animal was made for food. That doesn't mean that every animal is suitable for digestion. Now, when you look at the reason why a lot of our people have taken on this idea of what's clean and what's not, is because we've been listening to the wrong people. Let me get this real quick. I want you to read this real fast. And I want you to read this for me, Dad, real quick. Just the part that's underlined.
Where?
Yeah. Just read it down to about right here. Just read from here.
Okay.
Yeah, just the underlined part.
Okay.
So we don't want to spend too much time on this, but I think it's necessary that we gotta.
Several other common crustaceans are near relatives to the crayfish. Among them are the shrimp and prawn.
Our people love what?
Shrimp
No.
and prawn.
A lot of people love crayfish, crawfish.
Mm-hmm.
We love crawfish at Two
Crawdads, right?
We love crawdads, LA crawfish. We love shrimps. We love all you can eat shrimp buffets. We love shrimp and pasta. We love
Crawdads.
baked shrimp, fried shrimp, butterfly shrimp, coconut shrimp, fried rice and shrimp, shrimp fried rice. Yeah, we like all that. Our people love all that. But the Most High said, listen, there's a distinction between clean and unclean. But here in this society, it says that this is what? Read on.
Among them there are the shrimp and prawn. Thin-shelled, active crustaceans come along our eastern coast. Right here.
Mm-hmm.
They are also used as food by man. The shrimp fisheries in this country aggregating over 1 million yearly.
Now, this book was written, I think, in about 1914. This is that book called Civic Biology. This book was written like in 1914. It said, in this country, they were already profiting how much?
1 million yearly.
Off of what?
Shrimp, prawn, crayfish.
Now, can you imagine what it is now? How much they produce and how much money is yielded from these animals? So is it about the health of your body, or is it about how much they can sell and make off your body?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about what's right or wrong. It's about its business. That's how this country operates. Read on.
Another edible crustacean of considerable economic importance.
It has what?
Of considerable economic importance.
It has considerable what?
Economic importance.
So there's some things that the Most High said you're not supposed to eat. When you go to Leviticus and Numbers, you're not supposed to eat anything that's in the waters, the seas, the lakes, the rivers, the creeks, the streams that doesn't have what?
Fins and scales.
That doesn't have fins and scales. You don't eat crustacean. We don't eat ocean roaches. All right? We don't eat ocean roaches. We don't eat crabs. We don't eat shrimps. Read on.
It says, economic importance is the blue crab. Crabs are found inhabiting muddy bottoms.
Why are they on the bottom? Read on.
In such localities, they are caught in great numbers in nets or traps baited with decaying.
How do you get a crab?
Baited with decaying meat.
You take old meat that's rotten and you throw it at the bottom of the water, and guess who's coming to get it?
Crabs.
So what does it seem like this animal was made for?
To clean the ocean.
It's a cleanup animal.
Clean up animal.
It's a
clean up-
disposable garbage disposable of the ocean,
Yes,
of the
sir.
waters. That's what these animals were made for.
Scavengers.
They're scavengers. They're not made for you to eat.
Con.
So, but we eat crab leg dipped in butter.
Mm.
We love it. Our people love this. But that's getting the information not from the Bible, but that's what happens when you get from information from people that value only the economic importance of something, not what's clean for you or unclean. Read this for me real quick. The oyster.
Yeah.
How much they generate?
15 million a year has been derived during the last decade from such sources. Hundreds of boats and thousands of men are engaged in degrading or dredging for oysters. 3 of the most important of our oyster grounds are Long Island Sound, Narragansett Bay, and Chesapeake Bay. Sometimes oysters are artificially fattened.
He says they're artificially fattened. How are oysters artificially fattened? Go ahead.
By placing them on beds near the mouths of freshwater streams.
But what happens in those freshwater streams? Go ahead.
Too often these streams are bearers of much sewage.
They're what?
Bearers of much sewage.
So how do you artificially fatten
My God.
the oyster?
By sewage.
Yeah, you put
feeding them sewage. Put
Yeah,
them
you-
around sewage so they can feed off of that.
Yes.
That Chesapeake Bay, that's where we just came from, y'all.
Thank you, Ahmad.
You just said that, so.
Thank you. The geographical.
Yes,
There's
sir.
always got to be a stenographer amongst us.
Yeah.
Let me let that be known. We got map makers, stenographers
Yes,
amongst
sir.
us.
Yes, sir.
Just want to let y'all know that. And if y'all don't know that, that's what we got.
I love that.
We keep that with us at all times. So we go to the wilderness. I be like, Ahmad, where the hell we at, brother?
God.
Go ahead.
Hey.
It says bearers of much sewage and the oyster, which lives on microscopic organisms.
So it's eating sewage, bro. So that's how you artificially fatten up the oysters. So when we read about how these people,
I gotta read
yeah,
this.
go ahead,
It's
that's
crazy.
fine.
It says on microscopic organisms. It says which lives on microscopic organisms, takes in a number of bacteria from other food. Thus, a person might become infected with the typhoid bacillus by eating raw oysters.
So yeah, you eat, and how do you eat oysters?
Raw.
Raw. And so you just get some lemon, you get a little bit of lemon, crack it open, squeeze a little bit of lemon on it, and
That's too real.
you gotta suck on it, suck the little membrane out. Yes, sir.
That's kind of crazy because it's a bottom feeder, right? And it's filled with sewage, but our people consider that a delicacy, though.
You know it's expensive eating.
We pay
That's fine. We call that fine dining.
Aphrodisiac.
Yeah, it's aphrodisiac. We squeeze some lemon juice on a raw oyster.
Oh,
But you're digesting what bacteria you get?
It says right here. Thus, a person might become infected with the typhoid
Oh, no.
bacillus by eating raw oysters.
So that's exactly how they say you're supposed to eat them. So when you look at what this nation says, the Most High is against it. There's a contradiction. Leviticus chapter 10, verse 10, next verse.
Thank God. Thank God for Leviticus. Huh?
Leviticus chapter 10, verse 10.
Read that.
It says, "And that ye may put difference between holy and unholy, and between unclean and clean."
So yes, the Most High did make every animal. Yes, He did make the creatures. Yes, He did make the animals that move on the earth. But He also says there's a distinction between what?
Between holy,
He said you're supposed to put a difference between what's what?
holy, and unholy,
And what else?
and between unclean and clean.
So you're not supposed to eat just whatever you see at the grocery store. Just because they sell it at your local grocery market. Just because you see it in the seafood section. Just because you see it at the meat market. That doesn't mean that the Most High qualified this meal as clean. You have to have the knowledge and the resource, which is the scriptures, to go to the Bible to tell you exactly what's clean and not clean. Just because your local grocer sells it, and it's at a health food store, Trader Joe's, it's at Sprouts. So you got these health food stores, Whole Foods. That doesn't mean it's whole. Doesn't mean it's clean. Doesn't mean it's righteous. So that's to kill that idea that just because it's there in front of you and God made everything, that everything was made to eat. It wasn't. He said you're supposed to put a difference between that. All right. That's to kill that idea. All right. So finish that in verse 3 in Genesis chapter 7.
3 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
Genesis chapter 3 and verse 7 reads. You said 3 and 7?
7 and verse 3. 7
Okay.
7 verse 3. I'm sorry.
Come. Genesis chapter 7 and verse 3 reads. Of fowls also of the air by 7.
So just because it's a bird doesn't mean it's clean.
Oh man.
So the Most High wants you eating vultures,
La.
buzzards,
La.
black carnivores, blackbirds that scavenge off dead animals.
La.
They don't want you to eat everything, man. Certain things are not meant to be eaten. So everything is, even though God made it and it moves, doesn't mean it's right. All right. So it's qualifications behind your diet. The Most High wants you eating things that come out the ground. He wants you to eat things that grow, that have seeds. He wants you to eat things that are clean amongst animals. He wants you to eat your herbs. All right? Let that go. And let's go to Philippians chapter 4, verse 5 real quick.
Philippians chapter 4, verse 5. Razor.
Yep. Everybody got it?
Let your moderation be known unto all men.
So not only are you supposed to have discretion on the type of food that you eat that's lawful versus unlawful, you're also supposed to have a distinction between what? The quantity. How much you eat. There's supposed to be moderation amongst who?
All men.
Read on.
The Most High is at hand.
He said the Most High is what?
Is at hand.
What does that mean that the Most High is at hand?
You're displaying your example.
You're a representation of His righteousness. Are you giving Him a bad name, or are you truly representing Him? Are you an example on earth of the Most High's righteousness?
Okay, what else?
The Most High is watching us what we're eating or partaking.
Bingo.
Yeah.
When I say the Most High is at hand, the Most High is doing what?
He's watching.
He's watching you. So
Okay.
so He's watching what you eat,
That makes sense.
and He's also watching how you eat.
Okay.
He said, read on.
God, verse 6. Be careful for nothing.
Verse 5, one more time.
God, verse 5. Okay. Let your moderation be known unto all men.
So he's looking at quantity. Just because you're in Texas don't mean you should eat Texas-sized
That's true.
food in
That's-
Texas-sized plates.
Everything in
Texas size,
is
this
bigger.
Texas
Yeah,
size, that
you gotta have the 84-ounce drink
Biggie size.
because they sell an 84-ounce cup.
Big goat.
So you should have the 84-ounce soda because they sell it.
The Texas side.
Yeah, that doesn't mean it's right because the quantity is big and bulky.
No, we have like the most diabetes.
We're in
We do.
Texas.
Yeah.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
Well, what about for like bodybuilders that say
That's from
they have
Texas.
to consume more in order to get big and all that?
You know what? That's all for vanity. What are they doing it for?
And they die.
Exactly.
They die really young.
It's not
really early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an epidemic amongst bodybuilders. They're not making it past 50s and 60s. Some of them are dying in their 30s.
The greatest of them.
And usually it's something like a heart embolism,
Exactly.
or cardiac arrest, or some type of a stroke. You know, some type of vessel burst in the body. You know, straining.
Sad.
And they go out quick. You can look at the results. You can just Google it. How many bodybuilders died early?
At least one major bodybuilder dies per year.
Yeah, there's a brother on YouTube. I forgot his YouTube site. He's a doctor, and he's explaining the dangers of bodybuilding and why they're dying early. There's about a 30-minute section on it, and it's vivid and it's full of details. And that's all for vanity anyway. So you're supposed to eat what you're supposed to use moderation. All right. So quantity does matter. Ecclesiastes chapter, next verse. Ecclesiastes chapter 31 verse 23. Let's read that.
Ecclesiastes 31, verse 15.
23 or 15?
31 verse 23.
It's like 23. Whoso is liberal of his meat.
Whoso is what?
Liberal of his meat.
Whoso is careful of his meat. Read on.
Men shall speak well of him.
It says men shall what?
Speak well of him.
Not only is the Most High watching, but who else is watching?
Men.
Men is watching. Everybody's watching. You're supposed to be an inspiration on how to eat, what to eat, even in your quantity. Because not only is the Most High watching, but you got other people that are watching you too. And you're an influence. There's an impact that you have on people. So, read on.
God, whoso is liberal of his meat, men shall speak well of him, and the report of his good housekeeping will be believed.
Because that man uses moderation, and that man uses discretion even in his diet. It's not hard to see or believe that he'll use discretion in every other atmosphere. It's not. They kind of go together. All right. Verse 19.
Verse 19. A very little is sufficient for a man well nurtured.
What does the Bible say?
A very little.
If you eat right, if you eat the herbs of the field, if you eat the fruit of the trees, if you eat your vegetables.
Yeah. That's an argument in itself for years.
That's a. Our people like have allergies because they're allergic to greens. I eat a hamburger, but I take anything that's possibly healthy off the burger, man. You know, all the green off, strip it down to the meat and the cheese, man, and then we just eat it like that.
I need protein.
You can't do a lettuce wrap, a lettuce burger. Can't do a lettuce burger.
Protein style.
Just it don't taste the same. You know, I need all the carbs and the meat and the cheese and the dairy. I need all that in there. I need all the calories in there. Now people have the habit of doing this, but he's saying that very little is what?
Sufficient.
So the Most High knows the body. He created the body. He said you don't have to gorge. He said very little is what?
Sufficient.
For who?
For a man well nurtured.
For a man well nurtured. So if you eat the right foods, that's nutrient dense, that's full of vitamins, you don't need a whole lot of food to function and survive. You don't need a lot. But it's about selection. It's about discretion. It's about quantity. It's about what choices you make. It's about following what he said as far as depending on the trees. A lot of times you're going to see that the most skillful men, we might as well go there. Daniel chapter 1 verse 8. The most skillful men in the scriptures didn't need much.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I'm glad you bring this out, bro, because these are things that just, based on so many commercials banging us, constant commercials, and then I like watching that Food Network, bro.
You know,
I love watching that.
You know how many Whoppers I probably ate in my life, man? Especially on a budget.
Yeah.
When Whoppers were, I don't know what they are now.
Remember that?
They were 99-cent Whoppers,
That was
bro.
bomb.
Flame broiled goodness for 99 cents.
I was heavy on earth, bro.
I must have ate about 1,000. Them 2 tacos at Jack in the Box for 99 cents.
Oh, yeah.
This is $1.29 now.
Kangaroo meat and ketchup on the inside with some cheese. I don't know what it is.
Wow.
Remember the monster taco?
Yeah, the big one versus the 2 for 99.
Yes.
You just get the one big one. It's always full of grease too.
And it had double
It's
sauce.
always greasy. Like the package is greasy. Your hands are greasy. Even when you bite into it, grease come out the shell of the tortilla. It's always full of grease, bro.
And we gotta get rid of this alcohol.
Well,
alcohol.
because you know what? It was cheap. 2
Yeah.
tacos for 99 cents, and they're thin, bro. They just put them in the microwave, heat them up. Even the lettuce was all cooked. The
Yeah, I
lettuce,
remember that.
the lettuce, the lettuce on the inside was stringed out. It was stringy. Cause they just microwave the lettuce too.
Yes.
They didn't even know it had lettuce in it.
Oh, that's funny.
It just kind of disguised itself with the meat. So, or that damn Taco Bell double decker.
Oh yeah.
With the meat and the soft tortilla on the outside with the beans,
Double decker.
or with the double decker with the crispy on the inside. Come on, bro. Or the 99-cent burrito.
The beefy 5-layer burrito.
Come on,
Yeah.
bro.
Make a run for the border.
Volcano nachos.
Volcano nachos. Our people, we don't even eat for health no more. We eat for budget. We eat for cost. What we can afford.
I stopped eating there when I started working there because
What?
then I knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And
And you can get it on food stamps.
Oh, that's what that is.
Man, any fast food restaurant that you can get with food stamps.
No way.
Oh,
You might want to think twice.
Yeah, the fish place up the street.
You might want to think twice. That's
Shouldn't go
funny.
there no more?
Shalom says, I'm glad you said that because we got a fish spot right up the street that you can get fish on food stamps.
Fresh fish fry.
No, it's right up the
that's
street.
good fish.
I've been there.
Well, you know what?
Talking about fish market.
The fish is okay, but they cook it in whatever all of the shrimp. You can't eat that, man.
Shrimp
They
oil.
they don't designate like this is the shrimp oil that we frying this fish in, and this is the fresh red cod
It's all the same.
or trout.
What's the
No, man,
difference?
they cooking that fish in the same damn grease,
Yeah,
man.
what's the
And they do take food stamps too. That's funny you said that. But read that again.
Daniel chapter 1 and verse 8.
Go ahead.
But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself.
He said, man, I intend, and I'm making sure. I don't give a damn if I'm hungry or not. He said, I purpose in my heart that I'm not going to do what?
Defile himself.
That's why you have to have your mind made up when you go picking out what food you want to eat. You have to purpose in your heart, I'm not going to eat this trash. You gotta have that in your mind as you go shopping, as you go scavenging for food, as you go looking when you're hungry and your stomach's rumbling. You got a purpose in your heart. I'm not gonna eat something crazy. I gotta eat something. I'm gonna eat something healthy.
That's a real thought, though.
But you know what? When your stomach is rumbling, you know you're looking at the clock. You got a 30-minute lunch break, and you got to look at proximity. How far can I go
Right.
to get something healthy, and then be back on this job and clock back in? That's why you got to prep. You got to do meal preps.
Meal prep.
You got to prep your food in advance.
Showers on it.
Your shower's doing a great job at
Hold it
that.
down.
You got to do meal preps. You got to have your food already prepped in a lunch bag, in a little freezer bag,
Yeah.
little ice pack or something. Yeah, that you already got healthy food. You got your salad. You got your vegetables chopped up, your fruits chopped up. So in the event that you cannot make it somewhere and be back to work on time, I survived off of having a lunch in advance, and it also saves money too on top of
They were
it.
religious.
You actually blow more money eating unhealthy than you do eating healthy.
That's true.
By having meals that you can cook, you can portion out those meals and survive off that for days. You got people doing Chipotle hacks or Chick-fil-A hacks,
Yeah.
where they buying the platter, the business platter, or what do you call it, the damn the catering platter, and then they take that catering platter and they break that catering platter up. They may spend $100, but they break it up in small amounts and then freeze it, and then they eat off that for like
No
100 days.
2-3 months.
Yeah, 2
Yeah,
months.
are you serious?
Yeah, there's little
That's
right
wow.
there is
There's
the-
little hacks.
We got to do that.
little food hacks. Now we got to make better decisions. But so now Daniel, read on.
Con. But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself.
And you got to have the same mind frame. You got to have a purpose in your heart, a choice that you're going to make to say, man, I'm not going to defile myself. Read on.
that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat,
Read on.
nor with the wine which he drank.
Just because the king, those in charge, offer me shrimp, crab, and lobster, doesn't mean I'm going to eat it. Just because they may offer bacon doesn't mean I'm going to eat it. Just because they offer fast food doesn't mean I'm going to eat it. And say, well, that's all I had. That's all that was there. That's all that was available to me. Because a lot of times our people that are still battling with eating unclean food, they'll say, well, what if the pig was the last animal
Yeah,
on
they
earth,
always say that.
and you had no other choice but to eat the pig? What would you do?
What is
You know what I'm saying? They always preposition this as if it's the last creature on earth and you're on an island somewhere. Are you gonna starve? Are you gonna
So
starve?
we got to get our practice in now.
Yeah. So, but in this case, Daniel was in this case. Daniel said, "Listen, I'm in captivity, and my food is being provided to me by my oppressors. But I'm gonna make an obstinate choice to stand for righteousness and not just eat what they give me because they gave it to me." Read on.
Con. Therefore he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself.
He said that I do not defile myself. Read on.
Now the Most High have brought Daniel into favor and tender love with the prince of the eunuchs.
And why did the Most High? Why would the Most High bless and change that eunuch's mind, which is his caregiver? Why would he change the spirit of that caregiver? Because Daniel chose to stand up for what?
For righteousness.
Righteousness. So the Most High put the spirit of peace on that caregiver, that eunuch, that overseer. Read on.
And the prince of the eunuchs said unto Daniel, I fear my lord the king.
He said, I don't want to get in trouble. Read on.
Who hath appointed your meat and your drink?
Read.
For why should he see your faces worse, liking that then the children. Salaki, I'll read that again. For why should he see your faces worse liking than the children which are of your sort? Then shall ye make me endanger my head to the king.
Go ahead.
Then said Daniel to Melzar, whom the prince of the eunuchs has set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, prove thy servants, I beseech thee, 10 days, and let them give us post to eat and water to drink. Then let our countenances be looked upon before thee.
He said, well, put us to the test. Read on.
And the countenances of the children that eat of the portion of the king's meat.
He said, give us post to eat, and in 10 days, see how we look after 10 days. Read on.
And as thou seest, deal with thy servants.
And then you make the decision and judge between yourself what's better for us. Read on.
So he consented to them in this matter and proved them 10 days. And at the end of 10 days, their countenances appeared fairer and fatter in the flesh than all the children which did eat of the portion of the king's meat.
Read on.
Wow.
Thus Melzar took away the portion of their meat and the wine that they should drink, and gave them post.
And gave them what?
Post.
Now, one of the definitions of post is things sown, things grown out of the ground. So when you understand what post could be a combination of legumes. It could be like beans, like anything of the legume family, red beans, pinto beans, lentils, black beans. It could be nuts. It could be grains, chickpeas, garbanzo beans. These are things, but these are some people say it's beans and nuts and grains. He said they ate things sown, but one definition is things sown. That means that Daniel said, listen, I don't have to eat meat.
Mm-hmm.
I could be a vegetarian, and my constitution shall still be stronger than somebody that eats meat. So what does that tell us?
We don't need meat. We can survive off of vegetables. This is the stupidest thing, what you just mentioned earlier about when somebody brought up the scenario of, well, what if the pig was the only thing ever left? Well, you still don't gotta eat it. It's still vegetables. That ain't the only. You don't gotta eat meat then if that's the case. That's stupid. Like you gotta open your mind up a little bit.
When you go online, you watch Asians take the bamboo, and they break it down and they cut certain parts of the bamboo off, and they boil and cook the bamboo shoot.
It's so delicious.
And they eat bamboo. Well, who else eats bamboos? Pandas eat bamboo. And you seen how big a panda bear is?
God.
And they only eat nothing but bamboo leaves.
You're cows, man.
Look, that's what I'm saying. So the largest animals in the world eat grass. Elephants don't eat meat. Giraffes are 18 feet tall, 2,000 pounds to 5,000 pounds.
Horses.
Herbivores.
Rhinos. You ever seen a rhino in real life?
Yeah.
They're bigger than the cars.
God.
They're 6,000 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Your car's like 3,000.
Yeah.
They're like 2 of your cars.
Right.
And they only eat grass.
And
Buffalo,
they're
Buffalo.
surprisingly fast. They run about 40 miles an hour.
Bison. Think about
buffalo.
think about. You ever seen a elk, a real life moose?
Con.
A,
Bigger than your car.
a moose that with the damn rack that's 10 feet wide
Bigger than the yellow.
that can jump over your car. You
That's
know what I'm saying? Yeah. You're talking about 2,000 pound, 3,000 pound moose. It's taller than your house. Standing in front of your house, the damn moose taller than your house.
Giants.
And they eat what?
Pulse.
They eat poults, bro.
Come out.
So it's showing you don't have to eat trash to be healthy.
Ah,
You can make tight decisions, conscious decisions, and your body will be taken care of. And the Most High will have favor. Which, give me verse 4.
Daniel chapter 1 and verse 4. Children in whom was no blemish, but well favored.
They said they didn't have no blemishes. They didn't have no sicknesses, man. Why didn't they have sicknesses? Because they ate healthy. They ate clean. They made conscious decisions. Read on.
Well favored and skillful in all wisdom,
Go ahead.
and cunning in knowledge, and understanding science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace.
Now, go to Psalms 105, and somebody give me verse 17.
You even have that the Daniel diet.
Yeah, they call it the Daniel fast. They call it the Daniel fast when you eat, grains, nuts, and legumes. You eat healthy.
You said that verse again?
Psalms. Somebody help them out.
105:17.
Read on. Read that.
Come. Psalms chapter 105, verse 17 reads, He sent the man before them, even Joseph, who was sold for a servant.
So who we talking about?
Joseph.
Read on.
Verse 18, whose feet they hurt with fetters.
So Joseph was in what?
Fetters.
He was in prison. He said that his feet they hurt with fetters. Joseph was locked up. He was in chains. Read on.
That's the worst kind of. It wasn't like modern day prisons where it's a little more comfortable, bro. You got fetters on your feet out,
Them things
shackles,
are iron, bro.
All in chains.
no socks. Ain't no
And
socks.
anybody that's ever worn cuffs that are tight, we complain about handcuffs being too tight. We never had shackles. Shackles dig into your skin. They cut your flesh. They're not just like handcuffs that officer let me out a little bit. It's too tight. No, this is worse than that. Read on.
Whose feet they hurt with fetters. He was laid in iron
Go ahead.
until the time that his word came. The word of the Lord tried him.
Read on.
The king sent and loosed him, even the ruler of the people,
Go ahead.
and let him go free.
Read on.
He made him lord of his house and ruler of all his substance,
Read on.
to bind his princes at his pleasure,
Read on.
and teach his senators wisdom.
So what was Joseph doing?
Teaching
Teaching
senators
his senators wisdom.
He was teaching the senators of Egypt
Nah, I never read that. Bro.
wisdom.
He was counseling.
He was delegating. He was politicking. He was teaching the senators of Egypt wisdom. But he came from a prison condition. He came out of a prison condition to the point where he was elevated in society, teaching the senators, the lawmakers, the governors, the rulers,
It's amazing.
showing you that you don't have to eat bad when you're in captivity. For the Most High, if you choose to make a conscious decision like Daniel, like Joseph, the Most High will still elevate you in position for using discretion and having dietary discipline. Wow. There's benefits to it. All right? Let that go. Now let's finish that in Ecclesiastes 31 and let's read verse 20. We was in Ecclesiastes 31 and let's read verse 20.
Ecclesiastes 31 and verse 20. Sound sleep cometh of moderate eating.
And also, on the backside, when it's time to lay down, when you eat moderately, using discretion, making the right dietary choices, you do what? You sleep better.
That's a big Israelite problem in general.
Yeah,
It's a big Israelite problem.
Acid reflux. It's when the stomach is suppressed with over much food, and your body's producing too much acid to break down the food. You lay down, it comes right back up in your throat. Sometimes you vomit it back in your mouth, or you wake up and there's blood on the pillow, or there's acid on the pillow.
Is that in according with what time you eat?
Yep.
How late you eat?
How late you eat and how much you eat.
And what you eat.
How much, the quantity of what you eat and the time that you eat. Read. He said, sound sleep cometh to what?
Of moderate eating.
So we're learning two things just from the beginning of this. The Most High wants you to be conscious in discretion of clean and unclean animals, and also He wants you to use discretion in your quantity. So, and He's also explaining that a healthy diet, you don't need much food to sustain yourself as long as you're eating right. All right? As long as you're eating right. Just wanted to start the class like this, because there's benefits. And there's a way that the Most High created the earth to where it's supposed to, in return, give you what you need to function. The earth is plentiful enough to sustain your body. All right? Just want to start it off with this. All right, so let's let that go and go to Genesis chapter 3. Somebody read verse 17.
Genesis chapter 3, verse 17.
Let's read that.
Genesis chapter 3, verse 17. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife.
But the Most High gave us instruction on what to eat, how to function on the earth. He gave us instruction. What to touch, what tree to touch, what tree not to touch.
Yeah.
He said, but because you hearkened to your wife, you didn't listen to me. Read on.
And hast eaten of the tree which I commanded thee.
So you partook in the forbidden fruit. You're not supposed to eat of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. You participated in the forbidden fruit. You ate something you weren't supposed to eat. Listening to your woman. Read on.
Which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake.
Now, through disobedience and through sin, the ground is what?
Cursed.
It says the ground is cursed. Read on.
Cursed is the ground for thy sake.
Go ahead.
In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life.
Read on.
Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth.
So now, does the ground yield what it's supposed to yield? No.
What do you mean? Okay.
No. It does. The earth doesn't yield its true potential
Because of the abuse
because of the disobedience.
of the taking care of it.
No, the disobedience of man.
Oh, okay.
The rebellion of man. By the rebellion of man, the Most High cursed the element that man needs to survive. You need the earth to survive. So the Most High is saying, okay, since you're not dependent upon me, the thing that you are dependent upon, I'm going to curse that you're dependent upon. So now, since you're rebellious to me, you'd rather listen to your woman, I'm going to curse your food. That you need your nutrients, that you get your nutrients from.
Get away.
That you get your medicine from. Because you're not listening to me. So cursed be the ground for thy sake. Meaning the earth is not going to yield its full potential. He says thorns and what?
Thorns and thistles shall it bring forth to thee.
Now, if you could read this real quick. Right here. But let no one. Antiquities of the Jews, book 1. I'm just going to read it. You don't have to get it yourself. Book 1, chapter 5. Chapter actually 3, paragraph 9, line 105. Read that.
Line 105. But let no one, upon comparing the lives of the ancients with our lives.
It says, but let nobody compare the lives of the ancients with our what?
With our lives.
Now we got Psalms 90 and 10 say we got about 70 years, and by reason of strength we can go 4 score. We got about 80 years plus. You know, we're not making it 1,000 years like we read about, you know, Methuselah and all the patriarchs in the scriptures. He said our lives is no comparison to their lives. It's by no means. Read on.
And with the few years which we now live,
we lucky to get 100. we lucky to get 100. Blessed. You got to be strong, stubborn to get 100. Healthy.
Turtles outlive us.
Read
And
on.
that's a blessing because we've been slaves for like, if you live 500 years, you be slave for 500 years.
Yeah, you're a slave all your life. You didn't watch people rubbing sticks together to hitting light switches. Read on.
Think that what we have said of them is false, or make the shortness of our lives at present an argument that neither did they attain to so long a duration of life.
Right, or say, well, because we don't live that long,
God.
then it's impossible for them to live that long. What is the reason why Josephus says that we can't compare our lives with their lives? Read on.
For those ancients were beloved of the Most High.
Because they were what?
Beloved of the Most High.
What did we read about Daniel?
Beloved of the Most High.
What did we read about Joseph?
Beloved of the Most High.
So when you're beloved of the Most High, when you're obedient to His commandments, go ahead.
And lately made by the Most High Himself,
Go ahead.
and because their food was the fitter for the prolongation of life.
It says, he said also their food was what?
Fitter.
It was better quality food back then. The food we got now is what? It's trash, man.
Fresh.
Food we got now is trash. If Adam's sin cursed the ground, how much more sin is multiplied upon the earth? So how much more the ground is not producing its full potential? So the things that we're eating on now is not even fit enough. The food produced now is hybrid food. It's genetically modified food. It's not even real food. It's man-made food. It's lab-grown meat.
God.
Never lived. It's animal. It's spider chicken.
Yeah.
It was grown. It never survived. It never breathed air. It's partially lab-grown meat with spider chicken that was embryos grown using meat glue
Yeah.
and a processor, glued it together. And this animal never had feathers. It never had feet. It never walked. It never squawked. But God, it never did none of that. It never even survived. It was grown. So what we eat now can't even sustain us.
You just put hot sauce on.
Yeah,
That's the impossible
That's-
meat.
that's-
That's the impossible meat they're talking about there.
whatever it is, it's not real. He said it's fitter. It was fitter then. The food was what?
Fitter for the prolongation of life. Might well live so great a number of years. And besides, the Most High afforded them a longer time of life on account of their virtue.
He says he also gave them a longer life on account of their what?
Their virtue.
So this is why Josephus said you can't compare your life to theirs. They had better food. The Most High loved them, and they had more virtue than we
They're
do.
better people.
They were better people. So that's why our lives are cut short. We make bad decisions. We don't follow. We're rebellious. We're disobedient, and we don't make good decisions. And we don't care about the virtues of the Most High. And you wonder why our people die quick. Why we die in our 60s, 70s, 80s, 20s. Heart attacks at 30. A lot of guys I went to high school with had heart attacks in their 30s. How you have heart attacks in your 30s?
Going in.
You just getting started.
And they got a thing called children's diabetes now.
Yeah, children obesity rate. Actually, San Antonio is known for having the largest diabetes clinic in the United States.
Horrible.
So just want to make sure that we fly the banner and the proud flag for that.
That's not
Yeah.
In Texas.
Yeah, everything's bigger in Texas, right? Yeah.
That's what Charles Barkley said. He said it was just a bunch of...
It's cool,
Yeah,
man.
okay,
Come on,
I got
brother.
you, I got you, I got
You
you.
can't do that.
Yeah, we ain't
Go.
going there, bro.
I got
So
you.
what he said,
I
what?
know.
It says so great a number of years, and besides, the Most High afforded them a longer time of life
Mhm.
on account of their virtue and the good use they made of it.
Yep. And the good use they made of their situation.
God.
They took full advantage of their situation. Meaning they ate the right food, they spent their time doing the right things. They didn't make bad decisions.
Good people.
They didn't make quick decisions based off impulse. They weren't impulsive. All these things afforded them a better life.
Mhm.
And that's how life was supposed to be. So let that go. Just want to establish this. It's through our sins, through our mistakes and our errors.
That's what book that was again?
That's in the Josephus.
Book one.
Book 1,
Book 1.
chapter 3.
34.
chapter 3, paragraph 9, line 104. All right. Let's go to Ecclesiastes now, chapter 38, start at verse 1. So we described how eating is supposed to be, the benefits of eating healthy, how the body responds to it, and how the Most High responds to you making better decisions. The Most High blesses you, and He shows favor to you, and He restores and prolongates your life when you make better decisions about what you put in your body.
We're doing the right thing.
Right. They weren't smoking cigarettes back then like that. Wasn't doing all that, man. Go ahead.
Ecclesiastes 38 verse 1. Honor a physician with the honor due unto him.
Go ahead.
For the uses which he may have of him.
So now, the way in a perfect world, you're supposed to give respect to who?
The physician.
To the physician. Read on.
For the Most High hath created him.
Go ahead.
For the Most High cometh healing.
Because who brings the healing?
The Most
High.
So the Most High made certain men that He calls physicians, that we call doctors. He made physicians for a particular purpose. These physicians have a higher skill level of botany.
Yeah.
They understand herbs. They have a green thumb, so to speak. They understand medicines, science. They understand these things.
They understand what part the body the herb affects. They know this herb affects this part of the body.
You know, they say nuts are brain food. When you crack open a pecan, what does it look like?
Your brain.
It looks like your brain.
On one side of it.
Most High is fair.
It's
very fair.
It has two hemispheres. The brain has two hemispheres. And you see both them hemispheres on top of the damn pecan.
A walnut.
Walnut. Look like the brain. But the Most High give you clues in the food. This is for that. This will help you with that. You thinking, processing. So, what he's explaining is, he's saying that in a perfect world, if you do get sick, the Most High gave doctors, physicians the skill to understand the herbs and the chemicals and how they react to the body to speed up your health, to help you out. Read on.
For of the Most High cometh healing, and he shall receive honor of the king.
And he shall receive what?
Honor of the king.
Go ahead.
The skill of the physician shall lift up his head.
So yes, the Most High makes doctors, He makes physicians to help people for the betterment of people. Read on.
And in the sight of great men he shall be in admiration.
Go ahead.
The Most High hath created medicines out of the earth.
The Most High made what?
Medicines out of the earth.
So He made medicines from where?
Out of the earth.
So where is our medicine supposed to come from?
The earth.
The earth. Now, the problem is this. The earth is cursed because of sin. So guess what else is cursed?
Medicine.
The medicines are cursed too. They don't yield their potential. That's why you got people that have to go farther and farther into the jungle, into the Amazon, to find a miracle plant.
But they're cutting up.
They got to go deeper into Malaysia in the jungle to find a miracle plant. They got to go to Indonesia to find a miracle plant. Yeah, they got to go to the bottom of the ocean to get an ocean plant, some type of sea algae. Because they got to go further and further away to some isolated, remote, uninhabited area of Africa where no city people, no smog, no pollution, no contaminants, no crime, and find out where these plants at that still survive, where they still carry their potential. They still maintain their virtue. The Most High said He made medicines out of the what?
Out of the earth.
Read on.
And he that is wise.
And if you're smart, if you're wise, if you know what's good for you, read on.
Will not abhor them.
You will not hate them or discredit them or to count them as unnecessary.
Or be adverse to them.
Or be adverse or opposed to medicines. But our people are opposed to medicine. We think, just time will heal it. Or, just drink some water. But sometimes that is the case. But our people will do anything but do what's right to salvage the body. But the Most High did put doctors on the earth. So is the Most High against doctors?
No.
Is He against physicians?
No.
Is the Most High against medicine? No, He's not. He's not against that. Read on.
Verse 5.
No, hold on. He says, the Most High made what?
Verse 4. The Most High has created medicines out of the earth.
Somebody give me Psalms 104 and 14 real quick. The Most High made medicines out of the earth.
Come. Psalms chapter 104 and verse 14. He causes the grass to grow for the cattle.
The Most High said he caused the grass to grow for who?
The cattle.
So the Most High already think about the cattle. He knows they eat grass. He's already thought about the buffalo and the cow and the bull. He already thought about it. Read on. And the goats. Read.
And herb for the service of man.
And he said he already made herbs for who?
The service of man.
And we know that the herbs is for the what?
For man.
For the service of man.
Come.
For the healing of man. For the nutrients of man. So you can't despise eating greens. I don't know why our people don't like to eat greens, bro.
And they catch up to us, huh?
And you wonder why your body starts breaking down early. Our people hate healthy food. It's almost like we don't eat that, man. That's for white folks. No, that's not. The Most High made healthy eating for us. It's for your benefit. It's for your service. Read on.
That he may bring forth food out of the earth.
So the food and our medicines come from where?
The earth.
Don't hate the. Stop looking at food for texture like taste.
Yeah.
Stop eating for taste. Ugh.
It's a big mistake.
I can't eat that. I can't swallow that.
The better food has the bitter flavors, and the bitter flavors have certain vitamins you can't get because those vitamins, the actual molecule of the vitamin has a bitter flavor because it's alkaline.
Alkaline, there you go.
And if it's alkaline, as far as just the mineral, if the mineral's alkaline, it has that bitter flavor. If it's that vitamin C, it has that tangy flavor. Different flavors and different plant chemicals have different taste. So the stuff you really be needing, being the bitter tasting foods.
Majority of berries.
Man, this is getting too deep. We're gonna hold that. I want to get something out of this. You're gonna get too wordy. Yes, sir.
Would you say, I said something a long time ago and talked about if we have cravings, you know, like some people have a sweet tooth, a sugar craving, or
Ice cream,
or bitter craving, or sour craving. I had read somewhere that is a parasite, maybe, or
It could be a parasite, or it could be the body. Like if you crave an ice cream, what's in milk?
Exactly.
It's calcium.
okay.
Your body's craving calcium. It's not the milk that you're actually craving. Ice cream you're craving. You're craving what's in the ice cream. You know, you're craving the calcium. It's because your body's short or depleted. And we're gonna go into that too about how
Chips.
the salt, the iodine, the
That's why I
pickles.
go with chips.
Why do people want pickles?
And the little snacks and the French fries.
Yeah.
But you want the salt.
Because pickles have what? Electrolytes. That's why they tell you eat pickle juice. Drink pickle juice. The original Gatorade had pickle juice in it. Because your body's lacking the sodium and the salt that's in pickles. It's the salt. It's the sodium. Your body's lacking that. So you taste, I need something tangy. No, your body's lacking nutrients. And then we're gonna dive into that point. It's a good point you made.
For what he was saying, I remember reading about those parasites. It's a parasite in your brain called it's a red one. It's called a draconian or something.
Not my brain, buddy.
And all the other parasites in your body, they all communicate.
God.
The parasite that's known is the strychnine. The strychnine parasite from eating pork.
The trichina worm? That's
Strychnine.
what I was told. It's strychnine.
Strychnine. The strychnine worm lays eggs, and the eggs are very small. They're microscopic. They flow through your bloodstream, and they're so small that they can flow through the vessels that go to the organs. So once they grow, they lodge themselves in the liver. They lodge in the kidney. They lodge in the brain because they're so small they can go through the tiny blood vessels. But once they start hatching, then they just feed off wherever they stopped at, and it's usually stopped in the organs. So they position themselves in the heart, the brain, the liver, the kidneys, the lungs. That's the strychnine worm that comes straight out of pork. But you got the flat worm, the round worm, the pinworm, the hookworm, the tapeworm. All these worms are in not just worms, but viruses and bacteria exist in the pork. It's like 37 different bacteria that live in pork. But our people eat this not understanding, for one, that didn't come out the earth. That wasn't chosen for you to eat.
That was not chosen.
For two, you're breaking laws and commandments. And then three, your body's breaking down because it wasn't meant to break that and process that down. So now you're dying and you're killing yourself off making the wrong dietary decisions. So now and we get to this point. But I want to get back to this Ecclesiastes. He says,
you want verse 4 again?
Yeah, verse 4 one more time.
Ecclesiastes 38 verse 4. The Most High hath created medicines out of the earth.
He made what?
Medicines out of the earth.
Go ahead.
And he that is wise will not abhor them.
And if you understand what's good for you, stop running from vegetables. Stop running from healthy food. Stop running from salads.
Scripture says,
stop running from greens. You got all these different restaurants that you can get a salad on, but we look at the worst thing on the menu. We look at the worst thing on the menu with the most grease, the most saturated fat, the most starch, hybrid, genetically modified, and cheapest. Whatever we can afford.
Right.
Making bad decisions. If you actually understand how much cheaper it is, you can actually eat longer and fresher on a better diet than eating that fast food junk. You're spending $10 on a water meal, $12 on a water meal, when you could have spent $2 on some brown rice or black rice. You could have got some lentils. You could have got some kidney beans, some lima beans. You could have got some cilantro with some celery, with some green tomatoes, and you could have made you a little salad with some beans. You could have ate healthy, and you wouldn't even feel like you're hungry again.
Like crap.
You feel like you eat that food, man. You get the itis, you want to go to sleep, and it blocks you up.
Yep.
There's no fiber in it. So then you're constipated. You're dehydrated. Then you're blocked up, and the food starts to rot in your stomach. Now you got leaky gut syndrome.
Putrefying.
Now it's getting old. Now your blood is contaminated because it's rotting inside your belly.
That dark blood, that real dark blood. A lot of that dark blood has small little microscopic particles of fecal matter. When your blood's healthy, it's bright and it's filled with oxygen.
Yeah.
But people pull out people's blood out, it'd be dark as hell out.
Yeah, or yellow.
Or yellow.
If it's yellow, then that's jaundice. Jaundice is when the kidneys are not functioning. Then you got the yellow. You got yellow blood, yellow fingernails, yellow eyes. That blood is not circulating.
Liver too.
The liver's not working. The kidneys are not working. That's supposed to be filtering out your blood. It's not working. But it's all in the diet. That's our people though. Our people run from the herbs. Man, the herbs is the medicine.
Yeah.
Our people run from the damn greens.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want that. That's not gonna fill me up.
That's nasty, dog.
Yeah, I'm hungry, man.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna do nothing.
I need some real.
I need some real food. You know what real food is? You just seen how the Most High blessed Daniel in slavery. You see how the Most High blessed Joseph in slavery, just for making wise decisions. In captivity. We're in captivity. We ain't left captivity yet. But the option is there. So now, let's read that in one more time in Ecclesiastes.
Verse 4 again?
Yeah, verse 4, then read on down.
The Most High hath created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them.
Somebody real quick, give me Deuteronomy 32 and 39.
Read on it.
No, yeah, just hold on. Hold it. Read this real quick, and we're gonna come back to it.
Deuteronomy 32 and verse 39. It says, "See now that I, even I, am he, and there is no God with me.
Read on.
I kill, and I make alive.
Read on.
I wound,
The Most High said he what?
I wound,
He wounds you, and what else?
and I heal."
The Most High said, he said, read on.
It says, "Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand."
So the Most High does all these things. He wounds and he heals. The Most High is responsible for wounding you, or he's responsible for healing you, based on your decision making, based on your humility, or acknowledgement that you're in compliance with the Most High's commandments and the way that he chose you to eat. Are you in compliance with the way he chose you to eat, or are you non-compliant? Are you in compliance with the portion size he told you to have, using moderation? or you just got to get the double. You got to get the triple, because it's only 50 cents more.
That's crazy, bro.
Let that go. Go back to where he at in Ecclesiastes.
Now, verse 5. Go verse 5 now.
Yep.
Now, verse 5. Was not the water made sweet with wood,
Go ahead.
that the virtue thereof might be known?
Go ahead.
And he that hath, and he hath given men skill, that he might be honored in his marvelous works.
So the Most High, the whole point of healing you is for the fact that the Most High can get the glory from your restoration. That's the purpose of healing you, because the Most High can get His glory back. He gets some glory out of taking your body down, putting it on pause for a little bit, getting it sick, and then the Most High get the glory for making it better. It's all for the Most High's glory. Everything we do is for the glory of the Father. Read on.
With such does he heal men.
And with these physicians, with these medicines, with these herbs, He does what?
Heal men.
Read on.
And taketh away pain.
And He takes away their what?
Pains.
So your food choices, your decision making, your portion size, your food selection, all these things, your obedience to His commandments, all these things take away your pains. Read on.
Verse 8. Of such that the apothecary make a confection.
Go ahead.
And of his works there is no end.
Said apothecary is a skillful individual that understands chemicals. Like a pharmacy. He understands chemical combinations. He can make a confection or prescription that can heal you of your sickness. Read on.
And from him is peace over all the earth.
And you go get the peace from that pharmacy once you take the medicine that he prescribes. Read on.
My son, in thy sickness be not negligent, but pray unto the Most High, and he will make thee whole.
So you also need what?
Pray the Most High.
You also need prayer. It's a combination of healthy decision making plus prayer. Read on.
Leave off from sin.
Go ahead.
And order thy hands aright.
Read on.
And cleanse thy heart from all wickedness.
Pray to the Most High. Make sure you make a vow to not do whatever you're doing that's sinning again. That type of sin or that dirt. Acknowledge your dirt. Don't make those same mistakes. Read on.
Verse 11. Give a sweet savor and a memorial of fine flour.
That's a sacrifice. Read on.
And make a fat offering as not being.
You know what? Give the Most High a fast. Give the Most High a sacrifice. Read on.
Verse 12. Then give place to the physician.
It says, then give place to who?
The physician.
After you've done what you're supposed to do as far as mediating with the Most High, mediating with the Father, making sure that you're sending up prayers, you're focused on serving Him, you're conscious of your mistakes. Then you give the Most High a sacrifice, give the Most High a fast, give some alms, do something you've never done before. Read on.
Read verse 12 again. Then give place to the physician, for the Most High hath created him.
After you've done your due diligence to make right with the Most High, then you go to that doctor, that physician, and then you go to the doctor. Before you even get to the doctor, there's steps that you got to take before you even go to the doctor. You got to make right with your Maker, the one that wounds and the one that heals. Before you even step foot and call in for an appointment, you got to make right with your Creator. Acknowledge Him first. Read on.
Let him not go from thee, for thou hast need of him.
Because you have need of who? Is the Most High opposed to medicines? Is the Most High opposed to doctors? Is He opposed to physicians? No.
Is He against vegetables?
Is He? He's not. He's not. Read on.
Verse 13. There is a time when in their hands there is good success.
He said there is a time when in their hands there's what?
Good success.
Good success.
And the Most High guides that success. It's because the Most High wanted to.
There's good success that comes. There's time because the Most High is responsible from it. There's times when there's not good success. Give me Luke. Give me Luke chapter 8, verse 43.
Luke chapter 8, verse 43. When you're ready.
Read that.
And the woman having an issue of blood 12 years.
That means the woman was on her cycle for how long?
12 years.
So a woman had a cycle instead of, for 7 days. She had a 12-year cycle. Read on.
Which has spent all her living upon physicians.
And she spent what?
All her living upon physicians.
And she spent all her living on who?
Physicians.
On physicians. So she spent all her money on what?
Help. Medical help.
Medical help.
Medical treatment.
She went broke trying to fix her issue.
She went into poverty.
Yeah. So she spent all her money on physicians that couldn't heal the issue. Read on.
Neither could be healed of any.
And she couldn't be healed of any physician. So there is time when you're in a physician's hands, there is good success. There is also times when no doctor can do anything, no matter what you got, no matter what money you got or what insurance you got, there's nothing that they can do. This still comes from the Most High. Read on.
Came behind him and touched the border of his garment, and immediately her issue of blood stanched.
Stanched.
Verse 45. And Yahushua said, Who touched me? When all denied, Peter and they that were with him said, Master, the multitude thronged thee and pressed thee, and sayest thou, Who touched me? And Yahushua said, Somebody hath touched me, for I perceive that virtue is gone out of me.
Read on.
And when the woman saw that she was not hid, she came trembling.
Read.
And falling down before him, she declared unto him before all the people for what cause she had touched him, and how she was healed immediately.
And how she was what?
Healed immediately.
She declared amongst the group or the everybody who was standing around, I had an issue of blood, and for 12 years, and I went broke spending my money on doctors, and I just touched this man's garment, and he healed me. Read on.
Verse 48. And he said unto her, Daughter, be of good comfort. Thy faith hath made thee whole.
Sometimes the doctors can't do anything. Sometimes the healing is a matter of what?
Faith.
It's a matter of what?
Faith.
It's a matter of faith.
And there's a million medical cases. There's a whole lot of medical cases. They study this. They call it spontaneous healing. And it's medical cases based on, they give people, they have spontaneous events of healing that they can't explain. They can't explain how this person get healed. Nobody else was healed off this medication, but this guy was healed. They'll even give people placebo, which is like sugar pills. And the sugar pills will heal the sickness because the people have a strong case of faith and belief.
So it shows you that faith, it's been
This even to this day.
It's been proven already that if you have a negative mind, it has a physiological effect on the body.
God.
Predominantly, a negative outlook, a negative thought process releases cortisol in the body, in the blood. Cortisol will start to eat away at the stomach lining.
Yep.
It'll start eating away at tissue. This is why people will get stomach ulcers. They'll get blood in their stool. They'll start having eruptions in the stomach because it starts from the negative thinking. From the negative thinking, it starts to translate and actually manifest itself in the body and starts to eat away at the body.
Yeah.
Now you're vomiting. Now you're pooping blood because you're contemplating on too much negative. So if negativity can have that effect on the body, how much more can positivity?
God.
How much more can the power of positive thinking can have that reaction on the body? Thinking positive at times. Unto the pure, all things are pure. Unto the defiled and unbelieving, nothing is pure. For even their mind and their what?
Conscience.
Their conscience is defiled. So it's necessary that, yes, you got to keep a pure outlook. You can do physical damage on your body, physiologically, by keeping a negative outlook. That's why he said that this woman, he said, woman, thy faith is what?
Thy faith has made thee whole.
Some healing, it doesn't matter what herbs you take. Some healing requires what?
Faith.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 16 verse 12. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 16 verse 12. You got it?
No, I was just
I'll let you come back to that. I'll get you in a second.
Huh.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 16, verse 12, reads, For it was neither herb nor mollifying plaster that restored them to health, but thy word.
It said, but what?
But thy word.
Some herbs aren't enough. So, yes, some of us put all of our living in our insurance, thinking our insurance can save us. Some things are faith-based. Some sicknesses are faith-based. I just talked to a woman today that said she was paralyzed for 4 months from the neck down. She had something called DGS. She said her husband started reading the Bible to her, and she remembered that she was angry at God.
Oh, wow.
And after 2 months of being hospitalized from the neck down, and then 2 months of being in rehab, she's up walking and talking. But she said, I remembered about the Bible. But my husband read it to me, and I remembered I was angry at God. Some things doctors can't. The reading of the Bible in the hospital is what she contributes to her being not paralyzed from the neck down. Once she recognized she was angry at God, she got her feeling back. She got her functionality back. What was you gonna say?
I was gonna say, when we read in Luke, even Yahweh Shah said some virtue came out of him too as well. So even having the faith is a virtue that we need to have too.
God, great point. Read that again.
God, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 16, verse 12 reads, For it was neither herb nor mollifying plaster that restored him to health, but thy word, O Lord, which healeth all things.
It says the word is what?
O Lord, which healeth all things.
Some things, yes, you can have all the herb concoctions. You can have the Dr. Sebi diet on memory. You can have all the herb combinations, and that's cool. But sometimes you also got to humble down to who?
The Most High.
Sometimes you got to humble down to the Most High. There's some things that herbs ain't going to fix. There's some things that herbs are not made. They're not, no matter what combination you got. There's certain things that herbs just can't help.
And it was all organic back in the day.
Yeah, and it was more organic than it was then than it is now. Romans 10 and 17. I got you. I might want to say Romans 10 and 17.
Romans chapter 10, verse 17. It says, So then, faith cometh by hearing.
So sometimes you got to do what?
Faith cometh by hearing.
So if more faith leads to more healing, even beyond the medical field, then you got to up the ante on faith. Then you got to have a medicine cabinet full of what? Faith. Read.
And hearing by the word of the Most High.
That now I understand why that woman said her husband hearing, just reading the Bible to her, causing her to remember that she was angry at the Lord. Once she acknowledged that, asked for forgiveness, she said the DGS or DBS or whatever the hell that she said it. Well, I forgot what she said. It was a DGS or something like that. Whatever it was that paralyzed her was gone.
That's wild, bro.
She was up walking around. She was paralyzed for 4 months. Sometimes you got to up your faith because it goes beyond just what the medical field can provide.
Yeah.
Let that go. Let's go back to Ecclesiastes 38. Start at verse 12 one more time.
Ecclesiastes 38, verse 12. Then give place to the physician, for the Most High hath created him.
It says, yes, the Most High made the physician. Read.
Let him not go from thee.
Go ahead.
For thou hast need of him.
Read on.
There is a time when in their hands there is good success.
So yes, there's a time when you're in a physician's custody that you'll be in good hands. Read on.
It says, for they shall also pray unto the Most High.
It says, for they shall also what?
Pray unto the Most High.
It says, now the physicians are supposed to do what?
Pray.
They're supposed to pray.
Pray to who?
The Most High.
The Most High. Now here's the problem. We're in 2023.
Yeah.
We got to America in 1619 or 1500s. The Spanish got conquered in 1492, 1493. You know, Gad, Issachar, Asher, got mutilated, conquered, overthrown by conquistadors in the 1500s. Now, we're in the hand of our captors, and the physicians are supposed to pray to who?
The Most High.
They're supposed to pray to the Most High. Now give me this, Dawei. I read this. I'm going to brighten it up so you can read it.
Come on.
Hold this right quick. Hold this right quick. It says, for they also shall what?
Pray to the Most High.
Read on.
That he would prosper that which they give for ease and remedy to prolong life.
So now, they're supposed to pray to the Most High so that whatever concoction they come up with, or prescription they come up with, it can add length to your life. Right? Read on.
He that sinneth before his maker, let him fall into the hand of the physician.
9 times out of 10, why are we in the hand of physicians anyway?
Sinners.
Because of sin. Because the Most High, we sin before the Most High, so He put us in a situation where we need doctors. And that it says the doctor's supposed to give us a remedy. Give me that 1828 definition of remedy. That 1828 definition of remedy in the Webster's.
Remedy. That which cures a disease.
It says that which does what?
Cures a disease.
So you need the physicians. They're supposed to pray to the Most High to give you a cure for a disease. Read on.
Any medicine or application which puts an end to disease and restores health.
Go ahead.
With for as a remedy for the gouts.
Go ahead.
So that which counteracts an evil of any kind.
It says that which counteracts an evil of any kind. So the physician is supposed to give you a medicine or a solution that counteracts evil of any kind. And they're supposed to pray to the Most High to do that, right? Now, there's a problem. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 47.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 47. Because thou servest not the Lord thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee.
The Most High grew the medicines out of the earth. He grew the herbs out of the earth, the greens out of the earth. He gave us a law that determines what food we should eat, what foods are clean, what foods are not clean. He said, but because we didn't want to follow His commandments, read on.
In hunger and in thirst.
So He says, I'm gonna have you serve your enemy in hunger and what?
And in thirst.
Read on.
And in nakedness.
What else?
And in want of all things.
Now, what about when it's time to go get some medicine? You got to go to who?
Your enemies.
You got to go to your enemies for medicine. See, it wasn't just the fact that we got put in chains and we was picking cotton. We had to depend on our enemies for everything, even for our healing.
They said Dr. Martin Luther King was still alive, but he had to have his position take care of him. And he got in there, his position killed him.
Yeah, they said he was alive when he got in the hospital. I wasn't there, I don't know, but many people say he was alive when he arrived in the hospital, but somehow he just died. And also for that latest Rona pandemic, a lot of our people didn't make it out of them rooms.
Yep.
When they hit that intubation, some of us didn't make it out. That was like the last stages. That was bad news. Because we got to go to who?
Our enemies.
He said, you got to go to your enemies in one of all things. Your enemies are supposed to pray to the Most High, so that they can make a remedy, which is a concoction to offset anything that's evil, right? Now give me this Hippocratic oath right here. This is a oath that physicians follow, that the Greeks initiated in the 300s. Read that right there.
Hippocratic oath. I swear by Apollo.
Hold on. The Bible says in Ecclesiastes 38, verse 14. Read that one more time. Right, you got it? Ecclesiastes 38:14. Read that.
Ecclesiastes chapter 38, verse 14. For they shall also pray unto the Most High.
The physician's supposed to pray to who?
The Most High.
For what?
That he would prosper that which they give for ease and remedy to prolong life.
Now, the problem is when we're in the hand of our enemies, and we got to depend on our enemies for all things, our enemies ain't praying to the Most High. They're praying to who?
I swear by Apollo.
What is the Hippocratic oath that all physicians take, even today?
I swear by Apollo.
Who they praying to?
Apollo.
So when the Most High said your healing is going to come from the Lord if your physicians pray to the Lord, they're not praying to the Lord. They're praying to who?
Apollo.
They said, I swear by what?
Apollo.
What is the Hippocratic oath?
Supposed to be a promise to put healing above anything else, and your well-being above anything else.
It says, the Hippocratic Oath is perhaps the most widely known of Greek medical texts. It requires a new physician to swear upon a number of healing gods. To swear upon a number of healing gods.
This is over, bro. It's over.
That he will uphold a number of professional ethical standards. It strongly binds the student to the teacher and the greater community of physicians with the responsibility similar to that of a family member. So it's an oath that they take to say that they're going to treat you like family. But they're praying to healing gods. Greek medicine. This is translated in 2002 by a man named Michael North. This is from the National Library of Medicine. It's translated out of the Greek text. He translated it in 2002. The physician's supposed to pray to the Most High. But they do what? Read that again?
This point.
No, that point right there at the bottom.
It says, I swear by Apollo, the physician.
Who's the god of the Greeks, the physician of the Greeks?
Apollo.
Yes, what you got?
It was just something on Apollo. It says Apollo was the god of practically everything, including but not limited to music, poetry, art, prophecy, truth, archery, play, healing, sun, and light. Although the god is always associated with the sun, the original sun god was the Titan Helios, but everyone forgot about him.
Okay, so the Greek physicians prayed to who?
Apollo.
They didn't pray to the Most High for healing. They prayed to Apollo. Who else?
And Asclepius, and Hygelia, and Panacea, and all the gods and goddesses as my witnesses, that according to my ability and judgment.
It says, these gods are my witnesses, according to my ability and judgment. Go ahead.
I will keep this oath.
It says, I'm swearing to these gods that I'm going to keep this oath to treat everybody fairly, right?
This is bad, huh?
So when you're sick and you go to a physician, and the physician don't believe in the Most High, then how can you get healed?
You can't.
By your own faith.
You can't. That's the answer. It don't work like that.
It wasn't set up. The Bible wasn't set up for you to get healed with a non-believer. The physician was supposed to be a believer in the Most High. So now you go to the hospital, you go to the doctors, they don't believe in the Most High. They believe in other gods. That's why 1 Corinthians chapter 10, read verse 20.
What if you get a Judite doctor?
It's not guaranteed. Jewish doctors don't believe in.
They're being required to do the same
They
thing.
believe in Greeks too.
Even Jesus.
The Q-dogs, they're
might
required
believe
to
in
do
God.
the same thing.
We'll show you what's up with that in just a
You
minute.
said 10 and what?
10 and 20. Somebody help my wall out.
I got it right here.
You ready?
Yep.
1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 20 reads, But I say, that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils.
He says the things that the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to who?
Devil.
To devils.
As these physicians are making this Hippocratic oath to swear by these gods, the Most High said they sacrifice to who?
Devils.
Read on.
And not to the Most High.
And not to the Most High. But when it comes to your healing, who do these physicians supposed to be petitioning to? The Most High. He said the Gentiles sacrifice to who?
The devils.
Read on.
And not to the Most High.
Read on.
And I will not that ye should have fellowship with devils.
That's the problem that we get into now, is that you find out that our enemies that we have to go to for our healing, they believe and honor and worship devils. They don't believe in the Most High. I know I've mentioned it in class before. When I had sick family members, I had the nurse, because I understand this verse, Ecclesiastes 38. The nurse had to pray. The doctor had to pray. Anybody that was bringing the CNA, the RN, or whoever else was in there in the room, if you're going to work on this person that I know and I love, and I understand healing, I need you to pray first to the Most High. And I led the prayer. Because I don't need you praying to some devil, or you could be an atheist. But if the Most High is going to work through you as a vessel to provide my family member with healing, I need you to pray to the Most High.
They be pagans.
No. Read on.
To hold him who taught me this art equally dear to me as my parents, to be a partner in life with him, and to fulfill his needs when required, to look upon his offspring as equals to my own siblings, and to teach them this art, if they shall wish to learn it, without fee or contract.
All right. Now, it's supposed to be without fee and without what?
Contract.
It's supposed to be without fee. So you supposed now? Do you get healed for free?
No.
You walk out free of charge?
No, sir.
Nope.
They broke out already.
Yeah. They already done broke the oath.
Get that bill.
He said, let's read this right here. I will use.
Okay. I will use those dietary regimens which will benefit my patients according to my greatest ability and judgment.
Go ahead.
And I will do no harm or injustice to them.
Read on.
I will not give a lethal drug to anyone if I am asked.
Read on.
Nor will I advise such a plan.
Read on.
And similarly,
but oxycodone is what?
Put it on a car.
It's a lethal drug.
Yeah.
Oxycontin, oxycodone. All people are addicted to pain pills. Read on.
And similarly, I will not give a woman a pessary to cause an abortion.
What is the morning after pill?
An abortion pill.
But even the Greeks said we won't do that. The Greek medical world said we will never give a woman a pessary, which is a contraceptive to cause an abortion.
Are you 486? I think it was called.
So he's saying that even the Greeks wouldn't do that. But the hands of the medical world that we're in now, the hands that we're in now, they'll provide you with the morning after pill. They'll give you the shot. They'll give you the little thing that's sticking your arm for like the insert that be in your arm for like 5 years.
Are you talking about
and it's that implant.
If you move wrong or if you break it inside, you can die.
And you got 5 years of a slow releasing chemical. Or a lot of those pessaries that they use for contraceptive, they're toxic. They're cancer causing. What's that one that would shape like a wishbone?
Yeah, the
IUD.
The IUD? That's cancerous. Mutates the cells. But even the Greeks said we won't do that. But when the Most High said, I put you in the hand of your enemies for the want of all things, the enemies that we got now are damn near worse than the Greeks, than we were slavery under them. And we're going to prove it. Now, This right here is called Auschwitz, right? It's called Auschwitz, right? This was written by a Jewish assistant to Joseph Mengele. All right. If you don't know who Joseph Mengele is, let me read something to you real quick, so you know who Joseph Mengele is. A lot of people that know World War II history, they know who Joseph Mengele is.
Medical experience.
Yeah. Go ahead and read this right here.
Wow, Costco.
How you spell that? Mangale?
MENGELE.
Read that right there.
Mengele.
Yeah. He was also known as the angel of death in Germany.
Wow, bro.
Read this.
While Klausberg and Schumann were busy with experiments designed to develop methods for the biological destruction of people regarded by the Nazis as undesirable.
So the Nazi says there are certain people that we designate as what?
Undesirable.
So we got to get rid of these people. These are undesirables. When the Most High said he put you in captivity under your enemies, you're subject to how your enemies look at you.
Mm-hmm.
So you're subject to them looking at you as undesirable. Read on.
Another medical criminal, SS Hopfheimer, Joseph Mengele, MD, PhD, was researching the issues of twins and physiology and pathology of dwarfism in close cooperation with Kaiser Wilhelm Institute of Anthropology, Genetics and Eugenics.
Genetics and what else?
Eugenics.
So these genetic laboratories, these eugenic laboratories are made for who? The undesirables. Read on.
In Berlin, Dahlem. He was also interested in people with different colored irises, heterochromia iridii, and the etiology of treatment and gangrenous disease of the face, known as nomi facie, canrum oris, gangrenous stomaticus.
Okay.
A little understood disease epidemic to the gypsy prisoners of Auschwitz.
What else?
In the first phase of the experiments, pairs of twins.
He would take pairs of twins. He'd take two twins. Pair. Go ahead.
And persons with inherited anomalies were put at the disposal of Dr. Mengele and subjected to all imaginable specialist medical examinations.
Read on.
They were also photographed, plaster cast, were made of their jaws and teeth, and they were
fingerprinted,
toe printed, fingerprinted. As soon as these experimentations were finished, they were killed with lethal injections.
It says as soon as they took a plaster of their jaws, their fingerprints, and their toe prints, they immediately hit them with a lethal injection. What else?
Of phenol to the heart.
Go ahead.
So that the next phase of the experimentation could begin.
They killed them right off so they could start the next phase of the experiment. What was the next phase of the experiment?
Autopsies and the comparative analysis of their internal organs.
So now they got to see, based on the twins, we got to look at their comparative analysis of their organs, how their body processed the toxin and the poison, how the body withered and died. Right. So this is Joseph Mengele. So he was known as the angel of death during the Auschwitz camp. Now, that's for the Jewish people. Now, what about the so-called Negroes, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Dominicans, Haitians, Jamaicans? What about the children of Israel? Were we exposed to these devilish physicians?
God, we were.
So we got to find out. And when you do read history, you're going to find out that there's an American equivalent to each one of those German Nazi doctors. But there's an American equivalent of the evils that was done to the Jewish population
here,
but here in America.
Meaning the same thing.
As evil and as diabolical as these Nazi doctors were, there is an American equivalent times 5 or 10 over here in America. They're experimenting with our bodies. There's an American equivalent. And we're gonna get the book. I brought the book so we can go there.
I got you.
So let's read this. Let's read Acres of Skin.
This is crazy.
Acres of Skin.
Acres of Skin.
Wow.
By Hornbloom. Alan M. Hornbloom. This is based on a true story. This is a human experiment at Holmesburg Prison. It says, a true story of abuse and exploitation in the name of medical science. Now see, the difference is the Nazis got put on trial. And a lot of those Nazis were hanged for the experimentation that they did to the Jewish population. Nobody has put these individuals on trial. Nobody put the American doctors on trial.
Mm-hmm.
The doctor that participated and was the forerunner of this particular medical experiment at Holmesburg Prison, his name was Klingham. Dr. Klingham. Albert M. Klingham. Write it down. His name was Albert M. Klingham. We're going to read page 107 of this book.
C-L-I-N-G-H-A-M.
Mm-hmm. Let's read some of the research that he was doing right here.
While the Vacaville experiments.
Vacaville is a prison in California. We were talking about that the other night. He said, while the Vacaville experiments, this was another prison. Go ahead.
Were taking place, the federal government, through the Atomic Energy Commission.
It says the federal government, through the Atomic Energy Commission. Go ahead.
Was funding a decade-long series of radiation experiments on Oregon and Washington state prison inmates.
It says a decade-long experimentation on what? Radiation experimentation. For what purpose? Read on.
Right here?
Yep.
The tests were designed to help determine how much radiation U.S. astronauts could bear during space flights, and were closely watched by National Aeronautics and Space Administration scientists.
That's NASA. And was closely watched by what? NASA. NASA was watching over these experiments that was done in Washington and Oregon prison on inmates. So what were they doing? A decade-long experiment, 10 years worth. Read on.
Participation was voluntary, and inmates were given small cash payments.
Like guinea pigs. Go ahead.
But they had to undergo risky radiation exposure to their testicles.
Go ahead.
Harold Bayview, at the time, a 23-year-old inmate.
This brother was how old?
23 years old. Inmate was told to lie down in a coffin-like box and lower his testicles into water. Researchers then exposed them to a dose of radiation equivalent to 20 modern diagnostic x-rays.
So they amped him up and hit him and flashed him with 20 times the normal power or strength of a modern day radiation machine, x-ray machine. They cranked that joker up and hit his testicles with it. Read on.
It was warm down there, recalls Bayview.
He said, man, it was getting warm down there. I'm sure it was.
Right.
You got 20 x-ray machines on your testicles.
Oh my goodness.
Go ahead.
Nearly 30 years after the experiment, like I have been laying in the sun for too long.
He said, it feels like I've been laying in the sun for too long. Meaning what? It's hot, man. Read on.
Testicles are especially sensitive to radiation. Even slight chromosomal damage can lead to infertility, testicular cancer, and birth defects. After the radiation treatment, Bayview had to provide urine and semen samples and undergo periodic biopsies. In all, the testicles of more than 130 Oregon and Washington prisoners were irradiated.
How many?
130 Oregon and Washington prisoners were irradiated.
Irradiated meaning what? They was flashed with radiation. Just for cosmonaut, astronaut, NASA experimentation for astronauts. Just to see how much radiation can the human body take before these astronauts go up to space? Who did they practice on?
Us.
Us. Read on.
The radiation experiments were halted in the early 1970s.
So this was done up until when?
70s.
Man, I was born in the 70s.
Me too.
Read on.
But survivors are still coming forward to describe their health maladies. Many complain of prostate cancer.
They got what now?
Prostate cancer.
They got what else?
Vision loss, vascular problems, and sexual identity questions.
They don't even know if they're man now. They down there changed they gender with radiation.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Not to go off focus, but that's actually going with a lot with Esau. Every state has an actual beast now. If you go to the United States, thousands and thousands of people are seeing actual beasts, but they're questioning this. It's beyond Bigfoot. They says it's either angelic or their scientific laboratories experiment has went bad and beast has escaped. Because they said that all the people that see these different beasts, they said that the beast would not touch them. Some will destroy them, but it will just look at them and then leave. So a lot of they're saying it could be a lot of experiments went bad or beast has escaped.
You know, this guy said right here, Johnny Williams, a former Holmesburg inmate, remember the army trailers? He said it was given LSD, and he says that it seems like the walls were breathing.
Right.
Read this one right here. The same man right here. He tells of what?
He tells of discolorations on his forearm from microwave light, a microwave light.
So they was hitting him with microwave light. What else?
That burned him. Exposure to sulfuric acid.
They exposed him to sulfuric acid. What else?
And carbolic acid.
Carbolic acid. Go ahead.
Diet milkshakes test at which he was caught cheating.
If you was caught cheating taking the diet milkshake, what happened?
And kicked off, putting his arm in solutions for 1 hour over 30 straight days, until his skin was like leather.
Go ahead.
And acid rubbed on his testicles.
And what?
And acid rubbed on his testicles.
So this is another brother that was in that same prison. He, instead of radiation on the testicles, he had acid rubbed on his testicles. What's up with Esau and these testicles, man? Read on.
And a tin cup was placed underneath to catch the blistered skin. We got $3 for that test.
He said we got how much?
$3.
So the prisoners made how much for that test?
$3.
To put acid on their testicles, they paid them how much?
$3.
They got $3 for that test.
That's killing the man's seed.
Yeah.
He can't reproduce.
For $3.
Yeah.
If he does, I got me $3.
Now, the guy that this book is about, he was sponsored by Johnson & Johnson. He was sponsored by Dow Chemical Company. A lot of these big name companies that's still around, they were funding his experimentation in prison.
Damn shame, bro.
We don't got time to read all this book, but it's just one of some of the most gruesome things that could be done that has never been brought to trial. No one's ever been sued for. No one's at least the Nazis, the German doctors, the Nazis got hanged. They got hung for some of them crimes during the Nuremberg trials in 1947. During the Nuremberg trials, they got hung. Some of them, most of them, if they didn't flee.
They caught some of them 50 years later too.
But these doctors are still around. These companies are still around. No retribution. No reparation. No financial responsibility or accountability. But you go to jail, you go to prison, and you are a guinea pig in this society that we live in. This is what we got to go to for our medicine. This is where you got to go for healing. The guy that book is written about, which is Mr. Klingham. Let me get this real quick. Let me grab this one book. We're gonna go here. Dalia, read this for me. Page 248. When you get this book, just give you a brief synopsis of it. Read.
In 1998, Alan Hornblum published Acres of Skin, which documents the abusive experimentation conducted in Philadelphia's Holmesburg prison complex by Dr. Albert M. Klingman between 1950s and 1970s. Most of this research was practiced upon African American men.
It said it was most practiced upon what?
African American men.
Read on.
Hornblum, not only that, but they were used for the worst, most dangerous experiments.
Read on.
Klingman, a dermatologist, was initially invited to Holmesburg Prison in 1951 to treat an outbreak of athlete's foot.
He was only there in the prison to treat what?
An outbreak of athlete's foot.
So the prisoners got athlete's foot. He was there initially to treat athlete's foot. Read on.
But his initial reaction to Holmesburg was far from therapeutic and gave Hornblum's book its title. All I saw before me were acres of skin.
And that's why this guy, when he wrote this book about this doctor, he called it Acres of Skin. Because he said, that's all I see when I'm in that prison. When I'm in that prison industrial complex, I see nothing but skin. He's a dermatologist. He said it's equivalent to what? Read on.
Acres of skin. It was like a farmer seeing a fertile field for the first time.
He said he was so excited. He says it's like a farmer seeing a fertile field for the first time. I'm about to drop all my experiments on these prisoners.
Opportunity.
It's an opportunity. That's all they saw is opportunity. So read on.
Soon, Klingman was inducing foot fungus.
He was giving people foot fungus, not healing it. He was giving it to people. Read on.
Not treating it, because he saw the opportunity to conduct lucrative experiments.
Read on.
Upon thousands of captive bodies for at least 33 major pharmaceutical and cosmetic companies.
So he said people were sponsoring him. Read on.
Such as Johnson & Johnson.
Is Johnson & Johnson still around? Who was funding this man to do experiments on black bodies in prison?
Johnson & Johnson.
Who else?
Merck, Helena, Rubenstein, and DuPont. Was this still?
Is DuPont now still around? DuPont's still around. The DuPont family. Read on.
During World War II, prisoners have been commonly used as research subjects. And after the war.
Now we know that the Nazis were using the Jewish people for prison experiments. We understand that. Read on. It says, but after the war is over, read on.
The United States was the only nation in the world continuing legally use of prisoners in clinical trials.
So after World War II, who's still doing it?
That's barbaric. That's a barbaric thing.
Nobody in the world is doing that to their prisoners, bro.
That's barbaric. That's barbarism. Huh?
So that's. But here in America, we still, after World War II ended like in 1945, we still getting guinea pigged on. Nobody's been brought to trial. Nobody's brought up on charges.
Prisoners are expendable.
They're expendable. Read on.
Federal pharmaceutical and cosmetic companies' money catalyzed a 30-year boom in research with prisoners. They had a 30-year boom.
They got a 30-year boom with no accountability.
Because it's free.
Because it's free.
And Johnson & Johnson, their vaccine was the worst vaccine for COVID. Remember the Moderna? That's the ones people was having the most problem. I think they took it off the market for a while.
Yeah, they got in the game too. But they've been in the game. They've been in the game though, bro. They've been in the game for a long time. It's one more thing I want to read real quick. Hold that thought.
This is wild, bro.
I want you to hold that page right there. I want you to get this part right here. I want you to get this part right here. Read this right here. No. FDA's concerns on July 19th, right here.
On July 19th, the FDA removed Klingman from its list of approved researchers and notified sponsors that he no longer was eligible to perform drug testing. But just a month later, the FDA restored his privileges.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Just a month later, they restored them. Wow.
Read on.
The FDA concerned that Klingman was venturing too far afield of dermatology after his expertise was certainly unwarranted or certainly warranted. He began performing chemical warfare tests for the Army and the CIA.
Remember, he's using mostly black bodies. He says he started doing chemical warfare tests for who?
The Army and the CIA.
Go ahead.
Using psychotropic agents.
Psych drugs. Read on.
Perhaps the most harrowing experimental accounts are those of the CIA mind control experiments in which psychoactive substances, including Schedule II drugs, those with a high abuse risk, were administered to inmates as part of the MK Ultra program.
So he was behind the what?
MK Ultra program.
Y'all ever heard of that? So that's the same doctor, that supposed dermatologist, was responsible because he got federal funding, CIA money, to perform MK Ultra psychotropic drug tests on majority black inmates in Oregon and Washington prisons, along with that prison. Yes, sir.
That's talking about Albert Klingman doing that?
Yes. Same guy.
Is that Klingman?
Klingham.
K-L-I-G, man.
Yeah, there's something else I want to get to in
It's
just a
not
second.
ham, it's man.
Man.
It's Klingman.
Spell it for him.
K-L-I-G, man.
One of those names was
Klingman. That's Klingman.
So now,
Klingman.
read this right here.
God.
Now we read that from 1947, after World War II, no other country was doing experimentation with their prisoners, except for in the United States. Read this right here.
In 1947, 7 distinguished German doctors and scientists were sentenced to death.
These were Nazis. Read on.
And 9 others were committed to long-term prison sentence or to long prison terms by the International Military Tribunal on War Crimes at Nuremberg, Germany. These men had performed medical experiments on concentration camp inmates that, by any standards, were horrendous.
Now we just read what they were doing in Auschwitz and all these other prison camps. Read.
The Nuremberg Code, crafted by American jurists after the doctor trials in August 1947, established 10 principles, including the rights and autonomy of experimental subjects and the corresponding responsibility of physicians to ensure informed consent.
Go ahead.
Intended to satisfy moral, ethical, and legal concepts in the conduct of research. The code strove to safeguard the health and rights of individuals who chose freely to participate in human research.
So after the Nuremberg trials, they came up with the medical industry came up with what's called the Nuremberg Code, which is supposed to be a code of ethics, right? Now, remember the Nazi doctors are put on trial. Read this right here.
The Nazi doctors were brought to trial, offered a vigorous defense based on the revelations that
it says that the Nazi doctors said, listen, man, why are y'all trying us for these type of crimes that we're for crimes and we're experimenting on these Jewish subjects? Why are y'all coming at us? Why are they saying this? Read.
From the early part of this century, American physicians.
The Nazi doctor said what?
American physicians had conducted similar non-therapeutic experiments on prisoners.
He said, so who did the Nazi doctor say they got it from? The Americans. They said, you about to hang us for war crimes, for experimenting on criminals or our enemies, and we watch y'all do the same crimes to y'all prisoners. We watch y'all perform the same experiments on the people that's in your prison, but you're going to put us to death. But nobody put American doctors to death. Nobody put Johnson & Johnson to death. Nobody put the Dow Company to death. Nobody put the DuPont Company to death. Nobody has tried them, set them up on any type of lawsuits that have really paid out any dividends for the thousands upon thousands of criminals, supposed criminals, that was experimented upon, that even the Nazi doctors said, man, we got it from y'all. Why are y'all tripping with us? We got some of these techniques from watching how you deal with your prisoners. Why are you tripping with us? They said that we did what?
We
harangued
and executed Nazi doctors for experiments that forced humans to drink seawater.
So these doctors was executed for forcing their prisoners to drink what?
Seawater.
What else?
To be placed in ice water.
What else?
To be castrated.
What else?
To be infected with spotted fever and other pathogens, and undergo painful limb transplant experiments.
Go ahead.
But at the same time, we found it justifiable.
It said, but at the same time that America was hanging Nazi German doctors, it says that at the same time, what?
We found it justifiable to inject hospital patients with plutonium.
It says, but here in America, they were injecting hospital patients with what?
Plutonium.
Plutonium.
Gee.
Those are heavy metals, bro. These are carcinogenics. These are toxins to the body. The body can't process no damn plutonium.
They use those to make nukes.
Right.
Uranium and plutonium.
Plutonium is unstable. It's radiated liquid.
Highly radiated.
It's radioactive material.
Mm-hmm.
Uranium, plutonium, all these are radioactive material.
They said, as I was reading a study years ago, it said about if you had 9 pounds of plutonium, it said just 9 pounds of it can infect the entire planet.
That when plutonium is split and those isotopes are split, they never stop mutating when it comes in contact with the cells.
Wow.
They constantly mutate the cells of the body. So when the cell splits from 1 to 2 or 2 to 4, it splits to 7 to 10 to 15, 32. It's abnormal. It's an abnormal mutated split. He says at the same time that they're hanging Nazi doctors, they was injecting our people over here with plutonium, radioactive material. What else?
Without their consent.
And without their consent, no consent form. What else?
And to observe hundreds of poor black sharecroppers in Macomb County,
what
Alabama,
else?
As they withered away from syphilis while withholding.
And that's what this book is about. Get this too. It's called Bad Blood. This is all about that Tuskegee experiment about the 300 to 600 different guinea pigs that they use poor black people as guinea pigs to induce them with syphilis. The government denied that anything wrong ever happened. This whole book describes their plan. It describes their actions. It describes the symptoms they received, the sicknesses they received, the deaths, the amount of pain that they were going through. That's what this whole book is about, Bad Blood. So the same time that they're hanging Nazi doctors, they're injecting our people with plutonium, and they're giving our people syphilis and untreated syphilis to study the results of what happens when you get syphilis and it goes a long time untreated. Read on.
It says, as they withered away from syphilis while withholding effective treatment. The use of human materials to expand medical knowledge is in non-lethal experiments in Auschwitz.
It says they did. He says, hey, listen. We had people drinking. He said the Nazis had people drinking seawater, put in ice water, castrated, infected with spotted fever. He said, but y'all killing us for doing this, but y'all injecting your people with syphilis and plutonium.
Wow, that's the worst. Bro.
What else?
It says, the use of human materials to expand medical knowledge in non-lethal experiments in Auschwitz, Dachau, Ravensbrück.
All those were concentration camps. Read on.
Was not significantly different.
It said it was not what?
Significantly different.
It wasn't much different than what? What the Jewish people went through in Auschwitz, Dachau, Ravensbrück, which were German concentration camps. It said it's really not much different than what?
From giving retarded orphans.
It said in America they gave retarded orphans what?
Breakfast cereal.
With what?
In milk laced with radioactive calcium.
Did y'all hear that?
They're sneaking on
milk laced.
They was giving. Read that one more time.
This is crazy. It says was not significantly different from giving retarded orphans breakfast cereal in milk laced with radioactive calcium at the Walter E. Furtno State School in Massachusetts.
What's the difference? What's the difference?
And these are like high society schools. They get all this props and societal, honor. These guys are doing these things up.
So that's why I said for every doctor of death in the Nazi prison camps, we've had a doctor of death here in America. There's an American equivalent to these doctors of death that was going on. The only difference is they've been put on trial. They were hanged. They got hung for their crimes. What's happened in America? Nothing. You know what? In the name of science, technology got better. Astronauts got safer. Medical skin dermatology got better in the name of science. X-rays got better in the name of science. Chemical companies made better chemicals in the name of science, but at whose expense?
Ours.
At our expense. So do you think, when you understand the atrocity that our people have been experiencing here in America, that we would have a doubt? Do you understand now why our people would have a doubt? Why not to trust the damn medical industry? Why we're skeptical to go to the hospital? Why we're skeptical to go to the doctor? Even when the COVID thing came out, they were like, how are we going to get black people in particular to accept the jab?
That was Bill Gates' wife. That's it.
How are we going to do it? Well, when you have a history of injecting our people with syphilis, you have a history of doing things just as bad as what Jewish people experienced in concentration camps in Germany, but it's being done legally here in America, both in those free clinics, supposed public clinics, public health services. In the name of science, our people have undergone atrocities with no reparations, with no accountability. And you wonder why our people are afraid to go get a checkup. You wonder why our people are afraid to get examined. We haven't even begun to even. There's more books. Killing the Black Body. That's another one. There's more books. I didn't even bring all of them because there's no need. We can prove the point. The point is simple. Because of the atrocities we received in America. Of course, it would raise doubts and eyebrows on why it's hard for me to trust the medical industries. Wouldn't you too? When you're getting snuck with toothpaste, deodorant, skin creams, facial creams that's laced with over 165 chemicals. When you got radiation on your testicles, let me get this part right here. Of course we'll have doubts. So we'll read that in Deuteronomy 28 and verse 47 one more time.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 47. Because thou servest not the Lord thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, until he have destroyed thee.
And so yes, the Most High, through our punishment, because we sinned against him, he allowed our enemies to do these atrocities and these blasphemies upon our bodies. We're not even going into how they dug our bodies up and exhumed our bodies out the grave and robbed our grave. They said a slave's body didn't belong to him. It belonged to medical research. They were sneaking dead bodies up. They were sneaking dead bodies in barrels that was labeled turpentine. And they would often have Negro bodies sitting in them, sent to a university. And then when they were opened up and found that, these barrels that say turpentine are not turpentine, these are black bodies in here. They didn't even do an investigation. They just swept it under the rug. They just
Wow.
And in one, I'm not gonna read it, but it said in one case, they said, man, it's the 4th body we found this month,
My God.
and they still didn't do no investigation. And these universities, matter of fact, there's one story that talks about one university getting mad at another competitive university, who were their competition, their rivals. They got mad because they stole a black body out the ground that belonged to them, that they felt belonged to them.
Oh my.
So there was even black body cadaver wars between Ivy League or prestigious universities. That body belonged to us, man. You took our dead body, our dead Negro. So whether we was alive or whether we were dead, you were at the hands of your enemies, man. You was in the hands of your enemies, and this why the Most High said he's what? He's going to be what? Verse 49.
Verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, and from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth.
Read on.
A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
Read.
A nation of fierce countenance.
He says they're not going to be merciful. They're not going to have no mercy. Read on.
It says, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young.
It says, nor show favor to the young. This is how they looked at the Negro. Read this right here.
So the scourge.
This is the public health services. This is a government entity. This is a physician from the public health services. Go ahead. United States Public Health Services.
PHS physician Thomas W. Morrell, MD, expressed ambivalence about the possibility and even the advisability of eradicating syphilis among black Americans.
Read on.
So the scourge sweeps among them.
This is him speaking. He says, so that now that we got the syphilis in them, he said the scourge just sweeps among them. Go ahead.
Those that are treated are only half cured.
He says those that are treated, they're not cured all the way. What else?
And the effort to assimilate a complex civilization drives their diseased minds until the results are criminal records.
He says, and the efforts to assimilate a complex civilization drives their diseased minds until the results are criminal records. He says, so they knew that untreated syphilis causes insanity. But they was okay with that as long as they ended up where? In prison.
The grave or
in prison.
Okay.
Read on.
Perhaps here, in conjunction.
He says, together with syphilis and with tuberculosis, go ahead,
will be the end of the Negro problem.
He said this will be the end of who?
The Negro problem.
He says the disease will do what?
Disease will accomplish what man cannot do.
He says that's biological warfare.
Wow.
Yeah, they made a movie about that too.
That's biological warfare. Chemical warfare has been done on our people here in America. And you wonder why we have doubts about the medical industry. You read about the doctor that was praised and fled out of Puerto Rico.
Yep.
And he got caught. Yeah, he got caught. He had somebody read a letter on his desk that he wrote to a colleague up in New York. He says, my plan to eradicate these people is working, but it's slow. So far, I've at least eliminated at least 10 of them already. Once they found the letter on his desk, he got the hell out of Puerto Rico. What's his name?
Cornelius Packard, Dusty Rhodes, an American pathologist.
He's a what?
An American pathologist.
Blood doctor. Go ahead.
Oncologist. And hospital administrator who was involved in a racist scandal and subsequent whitewashing in the 1930s. Beginning in 1940, he served as director of Memorial Hospital for Cancer Research in New York.
So he was a director for cancer research in New York. Go ahead.
From 1945, was the first director of Sloan Kettering Institute and the first director of the combined Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Institute. For his contributions to cancer research, Rhodes was featured on the cover of June 27, 1945 issue of Time magazine.
This man made it to Time magazine.
Under the title Cancer Fighter.
Wow.
What did he do?
During the early years with the Rockefeller Institute in the 1930s.
He was with who?
Rockefeller Institute.
Who was funding them?
Rockefeller.
Rockefellers.
Man, come on.
In the 1930s, Rhodes specialized in anemia and leukemia, working for 6 months in Puerto Rico. In 1932, as part of the Rockefeller Foundation International Health Board contingent. During World War II, he worked for the United States Army, helping to develop chemical weapons, to set up research centers. Research on mustard gas led to developments for the use of chemotherapy at Sloan-Kettering.
Damn. So you see how chemotherapy was done against our will, and that's how it's right here. Ohio State Prison, 1952, injected 396 inmates, more than 180 of them black, with live human cancer cells, sponsored by the National Institute of Health. So what was they doing? Killing us, man.
Killing them.
That's why I said, you're in the hand of your enemy. You're not in the hand of your friend. So when the Most High said, listen, man, I'm going to punish you, you got to go to your enemies for want of all things, for food, for thirst. You got Flint water. You got Jackson, Mississippi water. That's what? Highly contaminated with lead, poisons, toxins. Majority of all waste products are burned off in low economic areas. That's where the trash dumps are.
And it was switched on purpose for the benefit of saving more money.
So when you look at outdated water pipes full of lead and chemicals, you look at experimentation in prison, purposely putting radioactive material in milk and cereal, purposely injecting you with live cancer cells, doing gynecology and chemotherapy work. There's so much to read, we ain't got enough time to go into it. But when the Most High said he put us in the hand of our enemies, read that one more time. Deuteronomy chapter 28. We don't understand how severe that punishment is.
That's a major. You can see the scale of it now, bro.
Yeah, the scale is huge. Read that again, verse 47.
Deuteronomy 28 and verse 47. Because thou servest not the Lord thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things.
Get this one more thing.
Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst.
So we could have had abundance, which means you have your own food sources, you have your own hydration sources. All the hydration we get is owned by corporations, mainly Nestle. They own all the water sources around the world. Nestle Candy Bar, that corporation, they own majority of all the water sources on the earth. So if you got to get some water, you're dealing with pretty much their sources. That's the problem. When they're adversarial to blacks and browns and even their own people, right? And the abundance of all things, we don't have an opportunity to really feed ourselves properly, because we got to put chemicals in just the farming. When it comes to the farming element, we got to spray chemicals all over the seeds and the foods. Was this glyphosate? Glyphosate is proven by MIT researchers to cause retardation, to cause autism, and it's just in the wheat alone. Just in wheat alone, which makes bread. In the seed, they spray it once, and then once the plant is full grown, they spray it a second time. So when it goes into your body, it corkscrews in your intestines and splits out the membrane of the abdomen, of the stomach lining, which causes an inflammation that expands the stomach. It don't just be fat; it be people have expanded stomachs from chemicals put inside of the wheat in their bread. That's why a lot of people are allergic to that. We could have had our own bread, could have had our own sources, could have had our own practices based on common sense and biblical understanding, but we're in the hands of our enemy at the imagination and the whim of our enemy's curiosity. Because a lot of this is based on the curiosity of the wicked. Read on.
God, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things.
And in nakedness, even in the fibers in your clothes. There's chemicals that we just can't not deal with. They're put inside the fibers of the clothing because they have treatment processes. So not only you have cancerous products put in just the fiber of your clothing, you're internalizing eating them, Then if you're a woman, you're putting on cosmetics. And if you're a man, you're putting on lotions to keep your skin right. Then if you got soap, it's made out of detergents and chemicals. They're making sure they can kill you off, or they can at least curb your numbers based off of cancers and naturally quote unquote naturally occurring diseases.
Chemical castration.
It's chemical castration, infertility, and cancers, and really affecting the brain too, affecting brain patterns. So that there's a in New York, and I've said this a couple times before. I don't think I said it online. In New York, they canceled a chemical called trans fats out of fast foods for a period of time. And the year that they got rid of trans fats, all of a sudden kids' school test scores went up. The school scores went up. The test scores went up. And they realized, why are the test scores going up when we canceled trans fats out of the processed foods, right? And they found out because the trans fats in the food block a chemical in the brain that creates a naturally occurring relaxation chemical. Your brain creates naturally occurring relaxation chemicals, but the trans fats in the processed foods cancels the naturally occurring brain chemical that calms you down, causing what? ADHD. So a lot of hyperactivity, a lot of that's based on trans fats and chemicals that are in processed foods. It's not just they're badass kids. Is that clear?
They made badass kids.
But these things are happening because you are serving adversaries in the one of all things. I'm too busy. I need processed food. I gotta buy some clothes. I need to go get some soap. I need some soap. I need to drink some water. I need to buy some chicken. What's in the chicken? High levels of estrogen. So men be getting breasts from chicken, literally. Or you want to get your beef, and they've been talking about adding the jab in beef, so that implants. So you get spike protein. The spike protein you would get from the injection. If you want to ignore the injection, you'll get the same spike protein, which is not natural, from eating your food, from digesting the meat, because you are what you eat. This is all because we defied the Most High.
Yep. It's all a punishment, man. Yes, sir.
He used the word earlier. I was trying to recall. You said chemical what?
I don't know. That's a lot of words.
You said.
What are you talking about?
You said chemical something.
Chemical castration.
Yeah, chemical castration. Kind of.
Yeah. Right. Basically stopping your. I don't think I said that. But.
Well, yeah, chemical castration is just when they alter the testosterone levels in men, adding more estrogen in the body, so that a man's testosterone levels, that's what keeps a man's vitality.
Yeah.
That's what keeps a man's hormone levels straight. Yeah. His mood stabilization is based on testosterone. Otherwise, you get very moody, you get very feminine, you get very up and down emotionally, you get off balance. All of this was done. Matter of fact, there's one brother that we was reading about, that Willis brother. He said, man, after he got out of prison, he said he used to go to the bars to fight. He said it right here. Look.
Golly, bro, that's crazy, bro.
Jesse Williams, the one that got $3 for that testicular acid rub.
Jesse Williams gives a similar account of his time in the trailers. I used to be into non-confrontational crimes.
He said, I was a criminal, but I did non-confrontational crimes. Like what?
Burglary, stealing cars. But after the mind test...
He said, but he was a product of that MK Ultra. He said, but after the mind test, go ahead.
I was a different person, more confrontational. I would go to bars actively seeking trouble. I never was like that before. Some drugs cause temporary paralysis or helplessness, or even place the subject into a catatonic state from which he could neither communicate nor react to his surroundings.
It numb you up. Some of these drugs just numbed our people out, man.
Just numbed out.
Our people are numbed out, bro. Staring at the wall, staring at the window.
Slump,
no emotion, lethargic.
No, that's natural.
No, that ain't natural, bro. That your body is being bombarded with experimental chemicals.
They're going through They're going through fluctuations.
Then you read about the experiments that was done in the New York subway. They was dropping cadmium in the New York subway.
Wow.
They had light bulbs full of cadmium, threw them on the tracks, busted them. They said that they found traces from 14th Street up to 150 some Street. They said, man, we know now that this can travel through subways. You have what's called the boxcar plane that was dropping particles and bacteria over populations to determine how the people would function under a bacterial bombardment during World War II. That's what people call chemtrails.
Mm-hmm.
They had been doing that.
Oh, it's nothing new.
They had been doing that. Matter of fact, our people's inoculation was, the presidents were doing it. Read this right about Thomas Jefferson.
Language was often tortured to disguise the racial nature.
It said they just changed the language so that to disguise that they were targeting our people. Go ahead.
The racial nature of hazardous experimentation. In the best patrician tradition of his times, Thomas Jefferson was not only a country squire and leading politician, but also a scientist.
He said he was a what?
Also a scientist.
Give me somebody give me Job 9:24 real quick. Read that and finish reading that in Deuteronomy real quick too. I want you to finish reading that in Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 48. Therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness.
Is this your friend that he sent against you? No.
Your enemy.
Is that your enemy, man? Read this Job 9:24. Read that.
Job chapter 9 verse 24.
Somebody else get Psalm 17:13 real quick. Read.
The earth is given into the hand of the wicked.
It said the earth is given into who?
The hand of the wicked.
Are these your friends?
The hand of the wicked.
Who would do something like this to put radioactive milk in cereal?
The wicked.
Who would inject people with plutonium?
The wicked.
Who would give you an x-ray 20 times the power to your testicles?
The wicked.
Who would give you creams to dissolve your skin and flake your testicle skin off?
The wicked.
Who would put you in an acid bath?
The wicked.
Every day for hours a day for 30 days straight?
The wicked.
Who would inject you with over 163 different foreign chemicals?
The wicked.
And destroy the evidence?
The wicked.
Who would put you in prison and subject you to MK Ultra experimentation using foreign drugs and chemicals?
The wicked.
Who would put your body and give your body dioxin, which is one of the main chemicals behind Agent Orange?
Wow.
The wicked.
He said, man, when the Most High said, man, he put us in slavery under our enemies, we don't understand how big that really is. I think we don't understand it. You're being experimented on when you watch TV. They're watching you.
That's reality. That's real. They said that you can cut it off. You know they're watching you. You can prove it because they said even if you cut off or unplug it, it's still listening.
Still listening. Your phone is always listening to you. All the time. Always recording every text, every pin drop, every whereabout, every location, every conversation is being recorded. Your whereabouts, you're being targeted for merchandise. That's why you can have a conversation, look at your phone, and the Google just pop it up on your damn screen. It knew what you was talking about.
Elon Musk was gonna make a phone call and talk. Not Elon Musk. What's the guy? Tucker, right? Tucker from Fox News. We got canceled off Fox News. He would make a call to the president of Russia, Putin, and as soon as he made the phone call, they intercepted his phone call and said, "You can't do this. You cannot interview Putin. Ain't gonna happen."
How do they know?
I mean, he just do, and they just stop. They answered the phone. Not Putin, man. They answered the phone and they told him, "It's what you're not gonna do."
Who controls us?
The wicked.
It reads Psalms 17-13.
Con. Psalms chapter 17 and verse 13.
Tucker Carlson.
Read that.
Arise, O Most High, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked.
He said, deliver my soul from the who?
From the wicked.
And Job 9:24 said the earth is given in the hand of who?
The wicked.
And who is the wicked to the Most High? Read on.
Which is thy sword.
So when the Most High got a problem with the children of Israel, He bring his sword. He bring his sword upon us. What is the sword of the Most High?
The wicked.
The
This
wicked.
nation.
The nations, bro.
Blessed with the sword.
Yeah.
They're the belt.
But they are a sword at the
But
same time.
they're a sword, and they also blessed with the sword.
God.
So the Most High, who does the Most High use to punish us? Who's his sword?
The Gentiles.
The Gentiles are his sword.
Diabolical people. Huh?
Is their sword to us.
God.
Finish reading that about Thomas Jefferson.
It says, he was also a scientist, eager to make his mark. Jefferson embarked on enthusiastic adventures in vaccination.
What was Thomas Jefferson doing? The old forefather, the one that's on Mount Rushmore,
and the nickel.
Experimenting on us.
It said Thomas Jefferson embarked on enthusiastic adventures in vaccination by gambling with the lives of his slaves.
When he was doing what?
Gambling with the lives of his slaves.
And that's our forefather, right? Supposed to be American forefather.
Well, he was supposed to be cool because he wanted to marry a black woman.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all tripping on him. He kind of has the jungle fever. He kind of has a thing for blacks. Not really, because some people soften up their approach because there's a sexual interaction between our slave masters.
Yeah.
Right. So we give him a break.
We give him a break.
You know what I'm saying? We want to say he's one of us.
Come on.
Because he had affinity for it. When you read the Delectable Negro, they not only had an affinity for males, but they also cooked us too and ate us, and made Negro soup.
Right.
You can read
That's
that.
how they learn how to extract the melanin out of the skin. They got a recipe on how to take the skin and boil it at a certain temperature, and you could take melanin out of our skin.
Melanin is more per gram than gold.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Read.
He wished to establish that Edward Jenner's.
A lot of them brothers that get shot in Chicago gangbanging, their organs are already sold before they hit the ground.
Right. So you can't be a donor.
Yeah, their organs are already sold. You gangbanging and you thinking that you got, yeah man, I got him. You don't even realize it's him today, it's you tomorrow.
Right.
Your organs have been spoken for. They've already been purchased by some medical institute,
And a lot of the
either for research or for resale.
Right. Even a lot of the trafficking, the women, they'll find them blocks down already, the organs taken out.
Organ harvesting.
Right.
They call that, in this book right here, they call that Birkin, like a Birkin bag.
Right.
They call that Birkin, because the guy that was famous for it, yeah, it's a Birkin bag.
That's a real Birkin bag, bro.
Historically, this guy was caught killing people for their selling their bodies for cadavers, and he called it Birkin. I'll find it in a minute. Matter of fact, see if I can pull it up real quick.
Wow, bro.
It's in they kill you and then sell your body for cadaver dissection to universities. Same thing. That's what they just had a name for, because the guy that got caught, his last name was Birkin. So you buying a Birkin bag, but you understanding what Esau doing. He Birkin you.
On another level.
On another level. But finish that with Thomas Jefferson. It says inoculation what?
Inoculation consisted of inserting or injecting infected material from a sick person directly into a well one to induce immunity.
So
Wow.
he was inoculating his slaves like you do the cattle. Read on.
Vaccination in this era referred to the process of injecting cowpox.
How did they vaccinate us during the 1700s?
Injecting cowpox.
They did what?
Injecting cowpox.
They gave us cowpox as slaves.
Animal disease.
Is that what they call mad cow disease?
No.
That's different.
This is how we got as slaves vaccinated in the 1700s. You was injected with cowpox.
So this has never not happened.
It's always been happening.
It's been going on forever.
Right, but
Wow.
that's part of the punishment of the Most High putting us in slavery. But we don't realize how bad this is, man. When the Most High said, "Okay, you don't want to serve me with joyfulness and gladness heart, no problem. I got another guy that's worse than you think. He's worse than me.
We wanted a license to sin to join him.
Yeah, and he enjoys what he does. Matter of fact, when you read about this guy, he said, man, when he was unregulated doing experimentation on black bodies in prison, he said it was the best time of his life. He said it was a wonderful time. The good old days.
It's the devil. Huh?
He talks about it with enthusiasm. Read.
To provide immunity to smallpox, as Jenner first described in 1796. Jefferson obtained some cowpox vaccine indirectly from Dr. Benjamin Waterhouse of Boston.
So he stole it from a guy. Go ahead.
But it was known to be of dubious potency.
He said it was known to be potent. Go ahead.
So Jefferson had a vaccinated slave injected with live smallpox material.
And to put the cowpox to the test, the inoculated slave to the test, he took the slave that had been hit with the cowpox and he went ahead and injected him with live smallpox vaccine. This president was doing this to us.
When this slave remained well,
it said this slave didn't die.
Jefferson wrote his daughter, Martha, to proceed in order to place our families and neighbors in perfect security. What is that? I don't know what that means.
What he means is that he would disguise words and say our family and neighbors to not alarm anybody, any watchdogs. But when he meant families and neighbors, he was actually talking about the slaves.
Oh, wow.
So she knew what it meant.
Right, it's coded.
It was code. That was his code.
Right.
Make sure you take care. Once he saw that smallpox saved that slave didn't die, he said, okay, this will work. So I need you to take care of the rest of our family.
Right.
She knew what it meant.
Right.
That means you had to go. And Jefferson had over 200 slaves. That means they all got hit with that smallpox after they got hit with the cowpox. So this is from beginning to end. So what we're looking at is we're gonna finish the class with that right there in Deuteronomy.
That's bad.
And you wonder why our people doubt the medical world. Are we not valid for our doubts?
Yeah.
Are we not justified to have some type of doubts based upon the atrocities that's been done to us as a people, and nobody's been put on trial for it?
Right.
Read.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
Read on.
The Lord shall bring a nation against you from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young. And he shall eat the fruit of thy
He said he's not going to show favor to the old or favor to the young. There's experiments in these books that was done to the elderly, and there was experiments done to children.
He will not regard old or young.
He's not going to regard old or young. So you got to understand where we come from out of this captivity. We've been on different levels and different battlefields of oppression.
That's on another level.
So yes, this is why our people doubt the medical establishment. But ultimately, who heals?
The Most High.
The Most High heals. Who restores us? The Most High does. So that's why it's so important that we go back to the Most High even that much more. Psalms 82. Last one. Psalms 82. Read this.
Out of this world, bro. Out of this world, bro.
It is, man. It's insane.
Sick, huh?
Insane.
No, I know what I want. Last one. Go to Jeremiah. Read verse 30. Start at verse 16 and 17.
Jeremiah 30.
Yeah, last one. Let it be Jeremiah. Last verse. Let it be Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 16 and 17. Last verse. Read that.
Yeah.
Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 16. Therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured.
He says that's why it's so important that we got to come back to the Most High. Because everybody that devours us shall be what?
Devoured.
Shall be devoured. Read on.
And all thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity.
And because he that leadeth into captivity shall what?
Go into captivity.
Shall go into captivity. Read on.
And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil.
Man, those that spoiled us through a variety of habitual evil practices destroyed us, from syphilis to you name it. Agent Orange, MK Ultra, radiated Wheaties, whatever you want to call it.
And who knows what they're doing now? Nobody knows what they're doing right now.
The fluoridated water, lead water, the damn, what you call it, the damn stuff in plastic that chemically castrates you.
PFDs is what it's called.
Yeah, so he said, man, those that spoil you shall what?
Be spoiled.
Shall be a spoil.
Shall be a spoil. Read on.
And all that prey upon thee.
And they've done what to us in America?
Prey upon thee.
The medical industry has preyed upon us, man, as subjects, as guinea pigs. It's experimentation, extensive experimentation, whether private or public, with or without your consent, with or without your knowledge. Read on.
And all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey.
He said, you know what? But they've done it to you, so I'm going to do it back to them. Read on.
For I will restore health unto thee.
He said he's going to do what?
Restore health unto thee.
What did the Most High say he's going to do to Israel?
Restore health unto thee.
That's why we got to go back and serve the Most High that much more. I'm not saying that you do not go to a doctor. That's why we started the class about a doctor is necessary. A doctor is needed. But also, you got to choose your doctors. Choose doctors that believe in the Most High. Choose doctors that have some type of faith and belief that they're doing the right thing and that they believe in the God of healing. Try to choose doctors that have some type of religious foundation, biblical understanding, some type of fear of the Lord, so that the Most High can bless their hands to give you what you need as a patient. Because that is a step-by-step method in Ecclesiastes 38 of how to get healing. They got to believe too. Don't just show up to any clinic. Don't just take anything. Make sure that the people, I'm not trying to be superstitious, but make sure you getting healed from somebody that believes. Right. And I'm going to say this also. We talked about this as well. The most natural thing that the Most High created, the medicine came out of the earth, out of herbs. A lot of modern day pills are synthetic versions of the actual plant that grew. It just grows in a discriminate place. It's expensive. It's hard to come by. Plus, it's big business. So they make a synthetic version of that natural ingredient to have a remedy to ease you of your pain or your problems. If you can, if you must, of course, I'm not going to say don't take no medicine. I'm not going to be that stupid. I'm going to say take what you can get for the time being until you can educate yourself on different levels of healing. So you can educate yourself, give yourself time to educate, do a lot of research upon whatever it is that ails you. If you got diabetes, if you got gout, if you got arthritis, do as much research as possible. Not saying that you're the doctor, but increase your skill level. A lot of times these heavy-duty experimentations was done not because they needed medicine, it was because there was a lack of nutrition. And real quick, I'm going to prove that in one of these books real quick. Read this for me real quick, Dawiat. It's not always that our people needed the medicine. The sickness came from deficiencies. Give me this right here, page 62 real quick. Read this. 1930s. The living conditions. 1930. Read that right here.
It says.
This is in where the Tuskegee experiment was done in Alabama. Read that.
In the hinterland around Tuskegee, the county seat, housing conditions were terrible.
What else?
The typical dwelling was a tumble-down shack with a dirt floor, no screens, little furniture, a few racks for bedding, and privy only when underbrush was not nearby.
Go ahead.
Drinking water came from an uncovered, shallow well.
Go ahead.
Often totally unprotected from direct surface drainage.
So there was often sewage mixed with the water. Go ahead.
The people who lived in this rural slum ate pelagic diet. A pelagic diet. The only well-fed Negroes I saw in Macomb County were the students of Tuskegee Institute and the patients in the nearby Veterans Hospital.
Go ahead.
Wrote Dr. Perrin after a visit there during the early 1930s. Salt pork.
What was they eating?
Salt pork, hominy grits, cornbread, and molasses formed the standard fare.
All they had to eat was salt pork, hominy grits, cornbread, and molasses. That was the majority of the diet that they was eating and surviving off of. Salt pork, hominy grits, cornbread, and molasses. That was it. So a lot of the sicknesses wasn't because they were infected with something. They were malnutrition. That's why they had to go see the doctor. Go ahead.
It says, formed the standard fare of the majority of Macon County's black residents, while red meat, fresh vegetables, fruit or milk, or even families with infants seldom appeared on their tables. As a result, chronic malnutrition and a host of diet-related illnesses were serious health-related problems.
So where did our people get our problems from?
Chronic malnutrition.
Chronic malnutrition and diet-related what?
Illnesses.
Diet-related. So you can
preventable.
It's preventable. Yes, you got to go see a doctor, especially if you don't eat right. If you make poor dietary choices, then you got to fall into the hand of your enemy. But a lot of these things come from diet. Low calcium levels, low mineral levels. So the body starts to change. It starts to dissolve, degenerate.
Because you need these certain vitamins and minerals for just common functions in the body. If you don't have this certain mineral, you can't have this certain function. And this part of your body doesn't function properly, it has a domino effect. Like everything has a domino effect.
Yep. Now this guy was known as the father of gynecology, which he used to perform experiments on slave women with no anesthesia on their vaginal areas. He used to remove the different parts of the uterus, fallopian tubes, all kind of surgeries in the vaginal area with no anesthesia whatsoever. And he's been known as the father of gynecology named Sims. Read on.
Orange, right?
Yeah, the orange.
As a plantation doctor.
He was a what?
Plantation doctor.
When you read about Sims, he admitted, man, he didn't know what he was doing. He admitted, he said, man, I don't even know what I'm doing. Read this right here. It says, when it came time to what?
When it came time to making up a prescription, I had no more idea what to do than if I had never studied medicine.
He said, this dude was he was a medical student. He made bad grades. So when it was time to actually make a prescription, he said, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But when he got to this plantation and became the plantation doctor, he made a fortune of experimenting black women's privates. This is the same guy. Read.
As a plantation doctor, Sims attended many children, but he used only the black infants as subjects for dangerous experiments.
He used what?
Only the black infants as subjects for dangerous experiments.
Go ahead.
In tetany, a long
like you get a tetanus shot. Tetany is a bacteria. So you get a tetanus shot. So he said he's talking about tetanus, tetany, the same virus. Go ahead.
A long misunderstood children's neuromacular disease, characterized by convulsions and muscle spasms. The tetany that was an epidemic among enslaved children was actually the result of severe calcium.
It said it was a result of what?
Severe calcium.
So all you had to do for tetany is just make sure the children eat what?
Some milk.
They need calcium. What else?
Magnesium,
Magnesium?
No.
Now, magnesium in molasses. You got magnesium in molasses. What else?
And vitamin D.
The calcium, magnesium, and vitamin D is all those babies needed.
Deficiency caused by chronic malnutrition.
So what he would do is, he said the reason why they're having this disease is because the baby's heads are closing in. You know, the baby's scalp is loose when they're born because they got to come out the vaginal canal. They got to come out the birth canal. So the skull plates are not solid and locked in and hardened.
Right, fixed.
It's not fixed. It's loose. So what he said is that because Negro babies, their skull plates lock up too fast, you got to separate the plates so their brain can breathe a little bit more. That's why they got tetany. So what he would do is he would get an ice pick and bend it at the tip and then go into the baby's skull and pull the plates apart because he thought that was where the tetany came from. When all that they needed was some magnesium, some calcium, and some vitamin D. And so he was experimenting. And then when the babies died, he said it was the black woman's fault because she wasn't a good mother. Come on, man. You gotta be kidding me.
It said when the infants died, Sims castigated the sloth and ignorance of their mothers.
He said he blamed it on their mothers. He said you're slothful and you're ignorant. It's your fault the baby died. Not admitting that I just stuck an ice pick and opened the baby's skull up because I thought that healed tetanus. When before he said he didn't even know what the hell he was doing when he was giving prescriptions until he became a slave doctor. He started experimenting. That's where he got his knowledge from. His on-the-job training he was a damn slave doctor, plantation doctor, who became a millionaire later. But read that right there, last verse. I'm sorry, last verse, man. This is crazy.
Verse 17. For I will restore health unto thee.
That's why the Most High said, man, if you keep studying, keep reading, keep having faith. He said, I will do what?
Restore health unto thee.
I'll get you back to health, man. You got to have faith that much more in the Most High. Because the Most High is the one that's put us in the hand of our enemies. Who made us susceptible to these experiments. It's worse than Auschwitz. It's worse than the last 400 years. Been worse than the damn German concentration camps.
Yep.
Equivalent to the horror. No reparations though. No accountability. Read on. That's why the Most High said, "No, I got you." Read.
And I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Lord.
Read on.
Because they call thee.
It said because these nations call thee what?
An outcast.
They call you an outcast, man. They don't love you anyway. I love you. They don't. They call you the Negro problem, or they gotta put a fence up. The immigrant issue is a hot political topic. They busting them to New York, busting them to Chicago, busting them to Washington D.C., busting them to Kamala Harris's house. They're my people. They bust them to the front lawn. But those are our people. They don't want to deal with us. They call us the what?
Outcast.
They call us the outcasts. Read on.
Saying, this is Zion, whom no man seeketh after.
He said, no man wants these people. They're Negro. They're a problem. This is so-called El Salvadorians. Nobody wants these people. These are the Guatemalans. Nobody wants these people. These are so-called Haitians. Nobody wants these people. But the Most High said, I got you. That's why it's so important for our people to come back to serve the Most High. Because we didn't have enough of medical experimentation on us to last a lifetime. So with that, we're going to go ahead and say shalom. And hope it made sense why our people doubt modern medical establishments.
Can brothers wash their hands that we're going to serve the food?
All right. So shalom to Water for watching. These books you can get online. Great book, Medical Apartheid. Do recommend it. Bad Blood, about the syphilis experiment in Tuskegee. Recommend it. Acres of Skin. Great book. Do recommend it. There's also Killing of the Black Body. Great book. Do recommend it. But most importantly, we gotta keep reading the scriptures. Keep serving the Most High. All right. So with that, we're gonna say shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.